and everything. But man, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning to the morning version of the Code Talk evening show. And you know, I was disappointed that we didn't get a chance to stay on schedule like we did the other day. Felt bad for that, but I know some things are just out of your control, and
Right.
and I want to be honest about that. You know what I'm saying? So, I want to first say I appreciate all the supporters of the platform, and I know support is very fragile. You know what I'm saying with these things because if you don't stay on schedule, you can't expect your audience to stay on schedule. So I'm making up for it today, and we're gonna go into this week with good spirits about the topics that we own and what we're working on. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit the countdown, and we're gonna get to
All right, let's go.
it. Yep. Man, I'm real proud of myself with that little bit of a little intro with a couple of little trap drums and stuff, man.
I'm with that.
Yeah,
I'm with
some
that.
quick, some effective,
Right.
just to break the monotony, of just clicking and hitting a button and turning on and start talking.
Right.
Um, man, I know there's a few things we're gonna wind up recapping, just to keep things in sync from the previous discussion. So we had a lot of good conversation pertaining to the behaviors, you know what I'm saying, that are associated with this particular topic. So we're gonna have to potentially touch back on to like any video. So if there's something that you want to reference, you know what I'm saying, that you remember that sticks out in your mind and makes a point that you want to add on to, then you know what I'm saying, don't be afraid to say so, because I want to be a free flowing conversation. I want us to catch back up, and today, like some of the topics that I want to bring up, well, some of the continued questions are in this three-part series about the sexual attraction template is identifying the characteristics of sexually undisciplined people.
Oh boy.
Yeah, the characteristics. We already saw, like behaviors. We already saw the things that surrounded it, right? And so one of the first question is, by your definition, what's the difference between sexually disciplined versus sexually undisciplined people?
It's in the words. One is
Yeah.
disciplined, one isn't. You understand what I'm saying? Like one understands that big one understands that being out here ain't really all it's cracked up to be like that. And so they divert that energy into something else. And then the other one just decides to be out here and just not be accountable for what they're doing or be accountable for what they're doing and just not care.
Mm-hmm. Uh, I agree with that too. Because discipline is the root word,
Yeah.
and it's always an indicator of a larger, connection to something else. You know, like people's behaviors are always indicators. You know what I'm saying? Like, because no one person is an island. You know, and you can be, but that doesn't mean that you actually are. You might think that you are, but at some point you're gonna have to interact with people,
Right.
and your behavior is gonna let somebody know what you're on. And some people can mask it better than others, amongst the right people. People, blend in accordingly. And for the most part, when you undisciplined, it's going to stick out amongst disciplined people in some way, shape, or form. And that's why I specifically brought up characteristics in this segment of the discussion, because indicators are not absolute, but they're absolutely indicators. Would you agree with that?
That's true.
Okay. So as much as we want to try to hide and suppress, like however we might feel about ourselves or what we want to display, you can't hide your behavior. And once your behavior is seen, people make assessments of what they want to do based off how safe they feel around you, what they can share with, how they communicate, and, like a whole host of other things that you don't even see, because everybody makes an assessment that's relative to what they can understand and protect themselves from. So these red flags may mean something completely different to this person, and these may not be red flags to this person at all.
Right.
So when you think about some of the behaviors that we watched on the previous episode,
which was a doozy, by the way.
Which was a doozy.
That was a doozy.
It was good. It was a good episode, and it just had so many of the same behaviors that most people have either seen, displayed, was raised by it, interacted with it, like from either all walks of life. You could be at work, you can be grocery shopping, you could be at the airport. It don't matter. That behavior tells you a lot about that person. And at a minimum, even if you don't know every single thing that person might be on, is giving you a boundary. It's giving you a point to make a decision off of. Mm-hmm. How to engage with this person. Do I want to go around them? Do I want to avoid them altogether? Do I want to talk to them directly? Do I need to go through someone else to set conditions to have a conversation? Because most people are either going to give you an opportunity to approach them directly or indirectly, or not at all. So, but it doesn't dismiss how they connect with other people that's around them. You know what I'm saying? So what's one of the things that probably stuck out to you from the previous episode?
The dude with 7 kids with 7 different women, and they knew about it, and they still went along with it. You understand what I'm saying? That kind of stuck out with me too, because he was open with it, and they still went along with it. And the court case where the mom and the son were in the courtroom.
Okay.
That kind of, that was like a son husband segment.
Yeah.
That was like a son husband segment. Like, her son was literally her partner instead of being her son. I know what that is like. You understand what I'm saying? That's and to see how entitled he sounded when talking to the judge, and how the judge and how the mom was defending it. Yeah, man, that kind of stuck out to me too.
I'm gonna play it again, just so we can, dissect it a little bit more.
Ma'am.
Excuse me, ma'am?
See, we're going to get it right in here today. I don't know who's teaching you, but I'm going to give you a lesson.
I'm teaching them.
Well, you're not. Because when I say something, the answer's not what? The answer's not what?
Okay.
You didn't teach him.
Oh,
you didn't teach him correctly. But I am going to today, because what he's not going to do is stand in this courtroom and potentially have 2 children at 18 years of age.
Well, maybe if he would have known about that one.
No. Well, maybe if he was required to get a job, he would have one. Maybe if someone taught him that when you... No, honey. You can get your education and work. I've been working since I'm 13 years old. Hold on. No. Now we're going to go to school on both levels, because I'll let you do the talking.
Okay.
It is important for him to get his education.
Right.
But if he is going to continually sleep with women unprotected and make children in the world, he's got to have a job.
Oh,
hold on. I started working when I was 13 years old and been working ever since. That baby is how old, Miss Hasty?
6 weeks.
So how do you take care of the baby?
I work.
How is it you think you can't have a job?
I ain't said I couldn't have a job.
Why don't you have one?
I don't know.
Are you applying?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And I'm going to show you in just 1 second. Children need guidance. Ma'am.
Listen, man, this is man. People better be glad that I do not hold a position of power like judge or anything like that, because I would have held her in contempt of court for every sentence she spit out of her mouth. 30 days. Shut up. You need to listen. Because you bugging. You are bugging. That's number one. Number two, I kind of got to look at the girl too, because you have a 6-week-old child with a dude who's living at home with his mom that does not have a job. What are you thinking? You understand what I'm saying? Why? I just don't get it.
You know, I was having a conversation about, you know, at what point, like I know ideally in a utopian world, there's a segment of men and a segment of women that doesn't believe that either side is being held accountable in no way, shape, or form, right? Now, on this platform, I don't really care about making this platform about holding women accountable. This is a man's platform, so we need to be speaking as if men are, you know, like in the position where they have to, if they got a standard of how they move, then their accountability is the only accountability that matters. That's what accountable masculinity is about. It's like, you can't blame nobody else. If nobody's coming to save you, you're responsible for all your W's and all your losses, then we need to look at it like, make the decision that you can afford to make that doesn't cost you your character. And with that mindset, doesn't mean that women aren't being held accountable somewhere else. It's just that men should be held to a higher standard. You know what I'm saying? In certain instances, and like there should be women that in certain instances there'll be a time where women should be held at a higher standard. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't hold men to the same standard in parenting, in motherhood. You know what I'm saying? Motherhood is something completely different that we won't ever know anything about it, right? So when women that are mothers are talking, their accountability conversations are a lot different. You know what I'm saying? Because their primary agency is in motherhood, you know, when you get down to it. But men, our primary agency is just setting standards, creating opportunities. Whether you got children involved or not, we're still supposed to be a brotherhood. We're still supposed to work together. We're still supposed to be a wolf pack. You know what I'm saying? So I'm way past, well, women need to be held accountable, this, that, and the other. Well, I think it's delusional at this point to try to hold them to a standard that we are responsible for setting too, because they operate off their environment. You see what I'm saying? It's just like you said, if you fix the kings, you fix the kingdom, right? So it doesn't like, hey, look, those are your words, right? And it just makes sense because
I got that from the late Patrice O'Neal.
Yeah.
It's not mine, but I completely agree. If you fix the kings, the kingdom falls back in line.
Hey, I pay attention, man. I listen.
Yeah.
Because what you're saying is, if you don't frame it that way, we're gonna always be in a bicker fest where it's like, do you want the woman to make all the decisions, or are the men just gonna step up and say enough is enough? This is what we own, and we don't have to explain ourselves to people that just don't get it, right? And that's where I'm at, because ultimately people gonna make whatever decision they're gonna make. So I'm gonna make the decision that makes sense over here.
Yeah, we can't bring everybody.
Well, of course. I mean,
We can't bring everybody.
everybody ain't coming.
Yeah,
Even if
everybody.
you got an open invitation, everybody's not coming, right?
Yeah.
So, as far as this platform is concerned, in that video we just watched, that's where it begins. Well, that's where it's really already too late by the time it gets to that point. If they, because most people don't recover from that spot.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you got to understand the logic when I'm talking about like with sexual discipline, right? Is you don't have very, like, if you don't have control of your life and then you create two other lives without control of your own, what's the probability of you getting control of your life? Not saying you can't. Do you?
It's just you putting yourself behind the 8 ball.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you putting yourself behind the 8 ball when you do that.
Yeah, like you start off like you're already working from how you were raised. And how you were raised is not all the way, it's not an exact blueprint to a successful outcome regardless of who raised you. But then when you go and complicate your life by creating more life,
And then complicate the other life you created the life with.
yeah, you never get back to your identity. So,
See, and
because it's not just making babies, it's not just, it's a change in dynamic in your life, man.
see, and this is why, as difficult as it is for me to, I still give grace just a little bit, because a lot of people are functioning off things that they only know what they know. They only know what they know. But we know now. So what's the excuse?
What's the excuse?
What's the excuse? You understand what I'm saying? There's only a handful of times where you can blame your environment, or you can blame your parents, or you can blame how you were raised and things like that. When at a conscious level and a subconscious level, you know something is wrong. I said this last time, man, we are not stupid. Like, we know this. So what's the issue? Or am I the only one or am I the only one that's thinking like this? Like, am I thinking utopian when I speak like this?
I think it's only utopian when you're trying to direct it at somebody specifically that behaves a way that they want to adjust. Like us talking about this behavior is just drawing boundaries around, like, hey, these people exist. So if they exist, what do? We move around it. We got to treat them. We got to treat them, you know what I'm saying, the box that they want to be in. Because unless you're prepared to behave like them and take on what they do, then your language don't matter to them. You gotta, like, I treat people that have behavior that I don't align with. Oh, that's just a different country. They speak a completely different language. In some countries, you don't care to go visit.
Yeah.
How's it any different?
I mean, I don't know, man. I guess it's not, but I'm still stuck on the fact that we know this. Like, I'm still stuck on that, man. We're not dumb. Like, we're not. But and I don't like using the excuse that you set in your ways or whatever. Like, I don't care about that. If the ways that you are set in are destructive, you can't come around me. Like, you can't, man. You can't.
Different country.
I've been around that, man, and I learned a very, very difficult lesson, man. You can't change nobody. They gonna move how they move, especially if they got people around them that's condoning it. And even the people that are around them that are condoning it, they don't know. So I got to give them grace too. Like, there's so many layers to this, but it's still bottom line. Like, we know this is bad. You're not stupid. So let's fix this. You understand what I'm saying?
They're not invested in the same thing though. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. It's like, they know, like you just said, they're not dumb. They just don't see the same logic. They just think they didn't do it with the right person. Just like I saw a meme the other day. It said women will keep they would down talk a guy thinking he's the wrong guy because he's broke, but the whole time that they broke. Like, why you think you keep attracting? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're attracting the very thing that you are.
Yeah, this is the part of the game where like attracts like. Normally opposites attract, but like attracts like when it comes to this.
That's what I'm saying. And it's the only opposite is the opposite sex in this situation, right? But the overall behavior is a lack of sexual discipline. So the people that don't see the same standard of sexual discipline still have a standard that relates to each other. So there's a certain group of people that's always going to be attracted to each other regardless of whatever the standard is. You got to think about it, man. How many times you read stories about people that work in a prison still end up pregnant?
I've seen it. You
at work. Because like it's such a human. It's just nature. It's in people's nature. You know what I'm saying? To behave a certain type of way. And this is the rawest, cheapest behavior ever. You know, because nobody's doing anything different than any other mammal that's out there, any other animal. You know, so primates reproduce with each other, and they have discretion though.
Yeah, and they follow nature.
They follow nature, and they still have discretion.
Yeah, we are the only breathing creatures that actually go against nature.
Go against nature, you know, and that's the thing that's supposed to make us as humans superior.
Superior, yeah.
And what does superior really mean though? Just because you can walk upright and choose what you want, and you still choose poorly, you know, or choose whatever you choose, you know, maybe not everything's not necessarily poorly, because if your life is formatted that way, then that's one thing, right? And generally speaking, the folks that end up on this show, and you know what I'm saying, from where this clip was from, all their lives are formatted the same way. If you go back and watch any of these divorce court, paternity court, Maury Povich, it's the same pattern. You got a single mother with a son, you know, that it's not necessarily the most sexually disciplined, because more likely he wasn't raised in an environment that was sexually disciplined, you know? So it has to come from somewhere. He can't go imagine it. You know what I'm saying? He didn't get here first.
Yeah, he's going by what he sees.
He's going by what he sees. So at some point, you know, it's you have to look at the entire picture of it all, you know? And then we'll move on to the other video, the 7 for 7. That's what I like to call it. And
the 7 for 7.
Yeah.
Sounds like a fast food combo.
Right. He treat them like fast food, and they keep getting in line.
I got 7 kids and 7 baby mamas. Now, for the past few days, I've been going live, telling my story, speaking my truth. And a lot of women having an issue calling me a deadbeat, because I tell them I was being irresponsible, yeah, not wearing protection. But I always tell these women that I got pregnant that I do not want to be a father to these children. And I offer to pay for the abortion. Majority of times, they'll either take the abortion or they'll take a plan B. But only these 7 have kept these children. But the crazy thing about it is they want me to be responsible for some children I told them I did not want. So for some years now, some of them been trying to get in contact with me, access denied. Because I don't really know why you trying to get in contact with me. I done told you I did not want them kids. So don't expect me to be responsible financially, emotional, spiritually, mentally, or physically with some kids I do not want. And I don't give a fuck what nobody think about it. You're not going to force children up on me. Yeah, we both made the decision to lay down and have intercourse. We both was irresponsible about the decisions we made that night. Yeah, I could have pulled out, but I didn't. And I ain't care to pull out, because I'm not the one that's gonna have to carry a baby for 9 months. It's the woman. In my opinion, women should be more careful on who they sleep with. Because you're gonna be like, one of my baby mamas trying to find me so I can financially support a kid I done told her or them I did not want. Another thing is, these just jump offs. These the type of women that I ain't even had to do nothing for. The bare minimum, but they gave me access to their body and they think I want to be a father to a child for one of them? Like, I don't even have no type of love for these women. How do they expect me to love these children? Before y'all say, oh, he irresponsible, he a deadbeat, he don't take accountability. Yeah, I do. I just don't give a fuck. You ain't gonna force these children on me when I told you I ain't want them. Yeah, I can offer to pay for abortion, but at what point can I force a woman to go get an abortion? I cannot. A woman say, my body, my choice, but I say, it's my life, my choice. Before y'all try to stitch this shit and be like, black man this, black man that, I don't give a fuck. I really don't.
That makes me sick to my stomach. It makes me sick to my stomach because those are the kinds of men that we get compared to on a regular basis. Listen, man, listen. I don't understand what we are not teaching these youngsters. Like, why are you impregnating a woman that you do not, A, want to have children with, and B, don't want to marry? Why are you doing this? Why are you putting yourself behind an 8-ball like this? What is wrong with you? I just do not understand it, man. I sincerely don't. Our seed is more important than this. Like, it really, really is. Our seed is more important than this. But then again, that's coming from me. I do retention every 6 months when I'm not in a relationship. So I understand the responsibility and, to be real, the power of this, the maintaining and retaining the spark of life. I mean, I get it, but Jesus H, man, this is the kind of stuff that taints our image as men. And I got to defend myself against this. I got to defend myself against this. Like, I'm not doing this, but you gonna look at me like I'm him? Get out my face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I started doing. That's why I said I want to do a 3-part series on this. I don't care how many times you got to bring certain videos up or whatever, but all of us do not make the same decisions. All of us are not attracted to the same type of woman, and there's some women that are only attracted to certain types of men. So, and this guy, like, he explained himself. None of that stuff makes sense to me. I would never operate that way.
It don't make sense to me either.
It don't process for me, so I'm not interested. And then on top of that, you got to think, what type of woman would be attracted to, you know what I'm saying, that type of guy? And the women that he probably attracts, I probably wouldn't be attracted to them. And they probably, those particular women that's attracted to him wouldn't be in alignment with either me or you. You know what I'm saying? Because those women probably already had kids.
Yeah, I stay out of that.
Yeah, like, you know, however it goes down, it's just like, it's just not our cup of tea. And so I think that this podcast, this particular, you know, series is like, hey, look, all of us don't make those same decisions, because it's really easy for men to be lumped into everybody's broad stroke, you know what I'm saying, categories for behavior. And not everybody, you know, values sexual connection or the opposite sex the same way, because not every person values themselves the same way. What you value and what you're attracted to comes from, like, your own self-esteem. You know what I'm saying? Really, your mate is a projection of how you feel about yourself. Because if you think highly of yourself, why would you get somebody that reflects the opposite of that?
That is true.
Why would you reproduce chaos unless you're chaos?
Yeah, unless chaos is the norm.
If chaos is the norm, then you probably take a lot of shortcuts. And you
Or look for a lot of handouts and bailouts.
And is that the behavior of a disciplined person or undisciplined person?
I would say undisciplined and entitled.
Yeah.
Because obviously they think that this behavior is okay because people keep condoning it and people keep bailing him out. Like, I'll put any amount of money in the world that ever since that he posted that, I bet you his following went through the roof, and I bet you he's getting even more play. I'll put money. Like, oh my.
I'm telling you, like, this isn't very complicated if you look at it, right? Because people that have jobs, careers,
or things to do, just things to do.
People that got a structured life don't make room for recklessness as often or as much as an undisciplined. Like, a disciplined person that's structured does not make the same amount of unstructured decisions, because nobody's perfect. You know what I'm saying? The difference is this: if a disciplined person and an undisciplined person made the same mistake at the same time, the person that's disciplined is going to have a different path of recovery from that mistake than the undisciplined person. Like, if you can't, if you got a problem dieting, or if you got a problem with like working out or staying consistent, so some level of consistency somewhere, the worst thing you could do is to go to a place that will trigger you to get off track. If you're trying to stop smoking, right, and you're trying to stop drinking, I would say the worst place you could go to is probably a bar, because you're gonna do both.
Or even not even that. If you want to stop drinking and stop smoking, why would you go around people who drink and smoke? It doesn't necessarily have to be. It could be a member of your family. You know what I'm saying? It could be one of your boys that got to spark up a cigarette every time he take a shot of Crown. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Listen, man, disciplined people and structured people don't. Yes, we are not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. We all fall short. We all have pitfalls. We all sometimes regress. But it doesn't take much to snap back, because you realize that this is a detriment. I'm too disciplined for this, and where I'm going, I can't do this.
Can't do it.
I can't do this, man.
It don't fit.
It doesn't fit.
It doesn't fit. And so, like, when you got that guy, and then the 18-year-old that's got 2 kids, and then now you got 2 versions of the same type of guy, younger and an older version, you know. And then you get, so like, well, who are these guys attracted to, or which women are attracted to these men? Because there's a big difference. Because a man can be attracted to a woman all day, to a type of woman that he wants, but if he can't access her, because she has to grant access to her body, right? You could be attracted all you want to whoever you think you deserve, but if she ain't feeling you, it's gonna be a crime if you get access to her.
True that. True that. You are going to jail.
You're going to jail. You're going to jail, fam. You know what I'm saying? You're going under it for a long time. So the women that are attracted to these men, again, we wouldn't be interested in them. Like, remember I said that earlier, right? So I'm gonna play you a clip of those that would likely. I'm gonna play this clip, and you're gonna be able to tell whether or not this person would be more likely to be attracted to this man or not. How about that?
Hey, Anonymous caller, how are you?
Hey.
You want to share a secret with me and Mano?
Yes.
Okay, we're listening.
So I have 9 children by different fathers. I only know who 3 of their fathers are.
You don't know who 3 of the fathers are? That's what you said?
I only know.
She only knows 3 of the fathers. So all 9 children have 9 different fathers.
I would think those 3 have the same father.
So 3 of the kids have the same father, but 6 of them have different fathers?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a secret? No one knows this?
No.
So who do people think the other 6 children, who the father is?
Whoever I tell them.
Oh, God.
So
What?
Okay.
But how do you, just a question, me not judging. How do you not know who the fathers are? Was you like just pound town? You was what?
I was out there.
He was out there.
You was out there.
So nobody's asked for a paternity test?
No.
No, all right. Well,
So, but you have like a basic understanding of who it could be, right? Like out of maybe 30 guys or...
I think I do, but the sad part is it was so long ago, I don't even remember half their names. So, like, when my son asks me, I literally make up a name. And I've tried to remember that name I made up, but...
So you just having these babies?
Like, recently, I can't remember.
Wow. Well, more power. I mean, I wish you the best of luck.
I didn't catch the part where she said that she just made up names of. Oh my God.
I told you it was a lot in that first episode because we was trying to like glancing over each video. And I just wanted to make a point. You know what I'm saying? But now we're getting into the dissection of who is attracted to who. Because remember the previous question was, what's the difference between sexually disciplined and undisciplined people, right? We were to ponder that question. And then who are these personality types attracted to?
Chaos. They are attracted to. Listen, man.
Like the build up.
Absolutely.
Like the build up.
There's no way, and and before I say this, I'm not attacking nobody, so don't look at me like I'm crazy. But it's difficult for me to even look at a woman with kids. Like I would want anything more than. It's difficult for me to even look at them like I would want something with them. Let alone you got all of these kids and you don't know who to. This is on the men. This is on the men. I gotta. This is on the men. Why are you
Because
it's
why?
Early on,
Like,
it's
like
for me to have a headache.
Because if you got 9 kids, and yeah, it's on the men. Over here, we gonna blame the man. You know what I'm saying? I'm okay with that because she can't get pregnant if you don't enter her, and she has a responsibility of deciding if that's the move to make or not. You know what I'm saying?
And off top, so you know what you're getting into. What is
like? There's literally no. I get why there's no excuse for either side, but we would be delusional. It would be bashing if we only focused on the woman and why she would allow access to this certain type of guy.
Why would you want access to that type of woman who's as frivolous in her womb as she is? Why would you?
And that is the other side of the coin. You know what I'm saying? And basically, in that situation, let's just say she already had 4 of the 9 kids that she already got. That's still way too many.
2 is too many.
2 is too many. You know, but we're just saying, I'm giving the low end. I'm gonna give you, you know what I'm saying, the over. I'll take, like, I split it down the middle, and I give you the 45, and we'll take the 55. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the numbers just don't make sense, and it's just gonna tell you that it's a lot of people that's bad at math that's having sex.
OMG.
Yeah, you in here going wrong.
When did it become
on some maxed out credit cards?
Right. When did it become a horrible thing to have standards?
The bar's so low.
Man, listen, man, fellas, we got to do better. We got to do better, man.
In this situation right here, like, yeah, we get it. She irresponsible with her body and all that stuff.
But you know she's irresponsible with her body. So why are you even putting yourself in that?
Yeah. So like, yo, what
is wrong with you?
And you know, and you know, like, that's the hard part, right?
You see the chat. These guys need somewhere to live.
Somewhere to live. Yeah. That's
hey, and let's be real. We're not bashing men either.
No,
we're not. This is a behavior that we're talking about. So
Yeah.
if there are any fellas watching this and you get offended, that's on you. Quit being so frivolous with your seed and have some standards. You know what you're getting into.
Yeah, treat these
What?
women like bum shelters. Like y'all running up in these women like homeless shelters. She can't. Bruh. Nobody with something to do in their life, structured. I'm gonna say it like this: there are less structured people that are interested in women like that.
Much less.
Because I'm not saying it can't happen.
Much less.
I'm not saying you can't have a one-off moment. And
yeah, I'm gonna count this as an outlier.
Yeah, this is a complete.
I'm gonna count this as an outlier.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like from a disciplined mindset, we wouldn't believe this unless we knew the person, or unless we heard it spoken from their personal experience. You know what I'm saying? Because it don't make sense.
Yeah, we would have to see this.
Yeah,
we would have to see this.
Hey, dog, you ain't gonna believe this. You know what I'm saying? Watch this video and call me back. It's one of them type of situations.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But like that's why I wanted to bring the conversation to the videos that, you know what I'm saying, that because it all sounds like everybody's just making up the worst scenarios with each other. You know, like in this whole, I think we're in the post gender war recovery era. You know what I'm saying? I think now that we're talking about solutions, and by the way, Codetalk is the accountable masculinity platform and it's solutions only. Okay. So we don't bring up anything over here unless we can identify boundaries, what to avoid, and you know what I'm saying?
And actually give you some tips on how to not do this.
And yeah, what to avoid. You know what I'm saying? Because there's plenty of young men that's raised the way that these videos are displayed. And if they're not,
I'm gonna be real with you. And
What's
I'm gonna
up?
be real with you. And this is me holding myself accountable.
Mm-hmm.
This could have been me.
Could have easily been you.
This could have easily been me. By the grace of God and the skin of my teeth, I am 43 years old without any children. This could have been me. So again, we're not judging. We just see a behavior. And even though it's not me, I've seen it. I've seen it in real life. Like I said last time, I worked in family court. This exists. It's and when you were talking about the post-gender war, I wouldn't say that. I would say that they're trying to make this behavior the behavior. Like they're trying to use outliers to make it the norm. If that makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're trying to make outliers the norm, and they are definitely not. We are two of them right here without any children, and you did it right and got married. You understand what I'm saying? Listen, man. But on the flip side of that, we got to do better. We still have some work to do.
Yeah, even though that this represents the smallest percentage of the population of men, but look at how much impact it has, you know, because think about how fragile a masculine reputation is by itself. And then you get a man that wants to have a bunch of kids by a bunch of different women and never marry any of them. And then he creates these different fractured families that all grow up with some type of resentment towards the kid, towards their father. And then now that becomes the loudest voice based on the mother's decision to be with those few men. You know what I'm saying? And then they end up having, you know, multiple kids by multiple men. And then the men that don't behave this way automatically get lumped into it.
We catch the brunt of it.
And you know, if we're going to have discussions about who's responsible for what, then we got to have a structured conversation that says, hey, we know that these people exist. These people behave like this, though.
So now you know what behavior.
Now you know the difference. So
you know what behavior to look for.
Now you know the behavior to look for. You know, you ask a couple questions, you'll get everything answered that you want. Once you find out how many kids a person has, who they had them with, or what they do, you can say, okay, I got a good idea how their life go. You know what I'm saying? Because the most structured part of somebody's day most times is their work day. It's only so much you could deal with at work until the point where it impacts you performing and doing your job. But those hours that you get off work, and what do you do with 4 of those hours when you have them to yourself? Because you might be off work for 16 hours, right? What do you do? What's the most appreciated chunk of time? And what do you do with it? And a lot of the people that fit into the behaviors that we're discussing, they spend a lot of time, you know what I'm saying, being sexually undisciplined.
Yep.
And ain't nothing wrong with that.
But you stay over there with that, because I don't want nothing to do with it. You stay away from me.
Stay over there. You know, like, it's nothing wrong with that until it is. You know what I'm saying? And what we won't ever understand is, like, why are these personality types attracted to each other?
That's where I am. That's why I look at everything from an objective point of view, and I pull myself out of it. I'm trying to get this. Like, what wrinkle in your brain made you think that this type of behavior was okay? You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Help me understand, because that's where I am now. I'm past the whole judging and all of that. What was your thought process when you did this, besides a quick release?
Yeah, I would say pivoting off of my man I.B. Hegler, when he says these guys need somewhere to live, right? So let's I just said, why are these people attracted to each other, right? And he just said this. So in the long and the short of it, there's a level of survival that's ongoing. There's a level of codependency, a level of, micromanagement, a level of, there's a whole, you can pick off any little thing that might be tied to this behavior, but why? And at its lowest levels, outside of nature, is survival. Because it's in the nature, right? It's in everybody's nature. But everybody's nature isn't triggered the same way. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, I don't care how bad I'm doing. It's certain people I will never, ever, ever, that will never have access to me, and I won't have access to them. I wouldn't want them, wouldn't desire them like that. And if I got something going on over in this area, it's probably not wise to be involved with the wrong people when I'm still trying to figure out my problems. You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of people are deflecting with people, using people to deflect off their situation. No different than a drug. I think there's a lot of sex addiction in it too. The same way we look at everything, like, when we stop and say, why do these people behave this way, or why are they attracted to this, or why are they attracted to that, and it doesn't make sense. I think at some point, is it a mental illness? Because if you got 9 kids and don't know who 3 of the fathers are, if you got 7 kids by 7 different women over here, and you still ain't shutting it down, you don't find the lane for responsibility, you don't see this as an issue, is that just their nature, or is that a sign of a mental illness? Is it a sign of a larger problem? What is it a sign of to you?
I would say it's a sign of a cycle that they see. You understand what I'm saying? It could be
minimal grace, the teaspoon of grace,
just a tad, just
that much grace.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, right. I would say we had this talk before. I would say a lot of this is environmental. Change comes with a change in behavior, comes with a change in environment.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us were brought up in chaotic environments, and these are the patterns that we see, and we continue to keep these patterns going instead of understanding that this pattern is destructive.
Talk about it.
Like it this pattern is destructive. We are smarter than this. We are smarter than this. I'm just gonna leave it at that, man. We are smarter than this.
Mm-hmm. They said they needed somewhere to live. You know,
I've seen that too, man. Listen, man. I've seen women hide men's stuff so that way they can keep their place while they on government assisted living. Like I've seen women do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is a thing. But even still, man, why would you?
Look.
Why are you engaged? I guess we need to be taught that we should not even be engaging in this type of behavior if we can barely take care of ourselves. Because what are we going to do with somebody else? Let alone that somebody else having somebody else and you got to take care of everybody, but you can't take care of yourself. Like, what are you doing? Like, come on, man.
I'm telling you, man. Like, I feel like I've always felt like the gender war. I hate saying it. It's dirty to say. I think it's just pushing people it's push people on either side, right? Man or woman. Then it breaks down again based off of discipline. And then within that, you're going to have untrustworthy people and you're going to have trustworthy people. And if you're trying to build something and you got to structure life and discipline and you got things that you have to account for, you don't have the same room for undisciplined people and behavior with a lack of structure that you would if you were undisciplined. Because if you're undisciplined, structure don't matter. But if structure matters, then discipline matters.
So, not only do you not have room for it, you know that you can't make room for it because you don't have any room for it to begin with. And to try to make room for it would bring chaos into your structure. So why do it?
Why do it? Hey, shout out to Wade Kane, you know.
From Germany.
Yeah, he over there. Hey, salute. Hey, we appreciate you taking the time to sit with us for a little bit this morning.
Wow, we really are like being seen all over the world.
I'm trying to tell you, man.
Hey, I'm humbled that you would take the time out.
Bro, hey, look, it don't look like it all the time, but there's people that pay attention to the conversation, man, and it's necessary to be as intelligent about it as possible, because this might be like we might not have another show. I'm not saying that it's not in the plan, but if this is the first time or the last time somebody sees what we talk about, let's break it down. Let's really get into the details of it. Let's make it important. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of foolishness that goes on. You know what I'm saying? And we can't have the same approach to 2024 and the rest of your life after that. Not just this year, but the rest of your life. Every day is, you know what I'm saying, the first day of the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? I've heard a comedian say that a couple of times. I think it was cracking jokes about school and kids going or whatever. But it's true. It's just so true, because like we have to look at who's trustworthy and who's not. And the best thing that you can observe is the behavior of people. And you don't have that, and that allows you to speak when spoken to. That allows you to choose the way you navigate folks that you might have to interact with, whether you get along with them or not. It's about everybody saying you want to meet somebody like-minded, but there's a lot of chameleons. There's a lot of clones. And a lot of us look as though we are on the same sheet of music, but the truth is we're not.
Not to mention, sometimes being around like-minded people can be a detriment, because those like-minded people might be thinking the way that you need to stop thinking.
Man,
you understand what I'm saying? We have listen, man. And this is why I'm glad that I have been a part of this. I have been a part of Elevated Dialogue, and I have been a part of Empowering Perspective, because I have learned that there are men out there that actually practice discernment. That is a thing now. There are men that are actually thinking before they act. I am humbled to be a part of it. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I was on the phone the other day with one of my friends that I serve with, and there's some things that I'm just very dry and straightforward about. It doesn't take a lot of conversation to discern whether or not it's the right decision or the wrong decision, or how I react to something or whatever, right? But having been in the military, I tell you what, they train the stupid out of you. So it doesn't even weigh on you. Like, well, it could go. No, the minute you got to say, well, it's probably not the thing that's going to likely happen. It's a probability versus possibility type of situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you have to go play devil's advocate, intentionally play devil's advocate, is probably something that you're trying to justify.
Yeah, just to be a contrarian.
Just to be contrary. You know what I'm saying? You don't care about solutions the same way that most people do. And that's fine too. Because there's plenty of like-minded people like that want to have a conversation where the exception is the rule. And they exist. So the minute that you say something that's straightforward, logical, you can give a who, what, where, when, and why, some consequences, or like second and third order effects of your decision making, and they still sit back and say, well, what about, oh, well, you can already disengage because you already know what they want. They want room to be the exception for they piss poor behavior in most cases. I'm not saying that that's the standard. I'm just saying that you have to start thinking, like, why would this person listen to everything that we just talked about? Somebody will watch this entire podcast, the first episode, and including this one, see everything that we laying out, speaking intelligently about, making the connections
without judgment.
Without judgment,
actually being objective about it.
Don't know anybody. We just looking at the behavior that's being displayed, and they'll say that's not true because I don't think like that. No, all things are true. Whether you got the experience to relate to, just say you can't relate. There's a difference in saying I can't relate to that versus saying that's not true. It's huge, and it's problematic, and that's what we've lost because over time we killed the opinion. And the opinion was pretty popular up until like 2015. You know what I'm saying? It was cool to have an opinion, And then of course we had this social media boom, a lot of racial tension stuff that got into politics and identity politics and everything else. So like you've been shamed into the closet for having an educated opinion. So like now, I said something the other day. I said I feel like straight men in the closet.
Damn.
We swap places.
So I got to come out of the closet as straight?
yeah, come out straight now.
That's
you got to think about it, because like we sit up here talking about the difference between behaviors of men and what they choose, the type of women that they choose, the type of women that they attract. We shouldn't even have to explain that. Some things should just be easily answered. But like so many people's objectivity has been corrupted so much that they've seen the same thing because they're participating in the same thing. So they don't have another perspective outside of their own behavior.
Do you see why I said I got out of the dating pool and took a goddamn shower? Because everybody is talking about how pissy the dating pool is.
Right.
Think about it like this. The late Kevin Samuels used to always talk about the market because he was always sales oriented. He used to always talk about the market. The market is this. These women want this, and this. Get yourself to the point where you have this, and this, and you can pick what you want instead of settling for what you have access to right now. Mm-hmm. A lot of these men out here are only dealing with the women that they're dealing with because that's all the access that they have. When all they have to do is change maybe one or two things that might be big to them, but are really, really small. But I take that back. Change a lot of simple things that are not easy to change, and then they can get what they want. You understand what I'm saying? They can get what they want. That's how I'm looking at it. That's why I said I look at it objectively. This is what the market is. I'm not a product that is booming on the market right now. So let me get my product together so that way I can boom in the market and I can get what I want. Seems relative. Right. It seems it, and the way that I saw it, it was really, really simple. Just like the way that I said it. It was simple when I said it. but it's not easy. It's not easy at all.
That's why they tell you got to realize your potential. Like they don't.
Not really. I would say realize it and act on it.
Okay, actualize it then.
Yeah, actualize it.
Actualize your potential because, man, I'm telling you, dude, you have to have something in order for someone to bet on you. You already have to have completed something. You have to show up. You have to have equity and something of value in order for people to see your own proof of. You have to prove your concept of what you think you are, not just what you say you want to be. You have to go do the work that proves your concept of how you see self. If you want self to be received and seen by a certain demographic of people, you have to be what that group of people wants from you. Because, like, if the consumer ain't consuming, then what is your value? It's not a product that they want.
That's market 101.
That's why I say, how many times you heard me say, all you can have is what you can afford.
And it ain't got nothing to do with money.
And nothing to do with money. Because, man, there's TV shows called Life After Lockup that have people that have nothing. And they still have a relationship because there's a level of attraction in there that we don't understand.
600-pound life.
These people have kids. Somebody
are in actual functioning relationships.
Yeah, like, and somebody might hear us say, hey, look, we are not bashing who's attracted to who. We're saying that there are personality types that will always be attracted to certain personality types. And within that construct, there's some people that they absolutely could never attract, man or woman. Now, how the particular groups of people that we're talking about, the sexually disciplined versus the undisciplined, how they move and their decision making, they don't even do the same math. they don't care about a lot of the same things. Like, math is very important here because that's where the problems are. Like, everything in life that you do is about problem solving. And some people are doing, 2 + 2. Some people doing trigonometry. Some people doing algebra. Some people doing geometry. Some people doing calculus. You know what I'm saying? And truly speaking, the people that are doing the simple math are probably making the most progress in life. The people that are doing calculus are the simple people that are undisciplined and creating harder problems. Don't we associate calculus with being a harder form of math?
Calculus, trigonometry, advanced geometry, astrophysics.
Simple people behavior creates hard math. When you're doing simple math, it's usually simple implies discipline, meaning that if it's 2 over here and I move it over this side, it's still 2. I don't move it over here and say, well, it might be 3. No, you got to add something to it. You know what I'm saying? So, whereas with the people that are bad at math, they're saying that they're making decisions off potential. They're making decisions off of what they already survived and not thinking about making the next decision the best decision. They're just making decisions.
Yeah. It's like life is happening to them instead of them making life happen.
Correct. They're literally going with the flow.
Yeah. We as men, I mean, we can do that, but we can't do that. Napoleon Hill talks about hypnotic rhythm. Basically going about things in a hypnotic fashion. And there's no way to stop hypnotic rhythm, but you can change it. You can change your hypnotic rhythm. You just have to have the desire to change it.
Question. When you had your period of enlightenment, like when you recognized that you was in a situation, right? That you like, I know I don't have no business in this now. I know that I'm not responsible for how I got here. And like you went from that taking all of the blame to like, hold up, I didn't do that. I'm not responsible for that. How old were you when you got to that point?
35, 34, 35.
So that was the age that you was at when you was like, I want more for myself and I need to make some changes. And
it was more along the lines of
like, how was it? Yeah, that's a better, let's just let you explain it.
It was more along the lines of, I just sat down at my dining room table and said, all right, I'm tired of getting treated like this. I'm tired of not having what I really know that I can go get. I'm tired of living like this. What started this in the beginning? How did I get here? I had to reverse engineer it. And then once I figured out a little bit, I started building on that. And the more that I logic my way through things, the more things changed. I just had to look at my life for what it was, how I was getting treated, how broke I was, how I was living in general. And I'm like, I'm better than this. How did I get here? What cycles am I continuing to cycle through? When am I going to break the wheel? What can I do to break the wheel? Who do I need to be around to break the wheel? Who do I need to eliminate from my life to break the wheel? You understand what I'm saying? There's a self-actualization that happens. You understand what I'm saying? You get to the point where it's like, this ain't it. I know this ain't it, man. This is just not it. And the next thing you know, I'm on here with y'all.
The minute that you take a step forward, then when you start seeing the other side of things, you look back and it makes you like pinpoint a specific moment in time. You like, that's what it was. And I didn't know what it was, but it just stuck out. And I think, and I say that specifically because there's a point when you realized how conditioned you were and didn't know that you was conditioned, didn't know that you was programmed. And then if you step outside yourself and then look back at your whole life, you know what I'm saying, in terms of just time, like you could point to some moment in 2018 that was a pivotal moment. Like it was like what they call those things, singularities.
Mm-hmm.
It's a singularity moment that you're the only person that saw it, the only person that was affected by it. And you had to sit there and probably live with it for a couple of years before you could relate it to something else. Like, hold up, there's another one.
And I was pissed off.
And then it just makes you mad because that's the deep depression, the regret, and all that stuff.
Still pissed off.
Yeah.
But I'm pissed off for a different reason now. Back then I was pissed off like, man, why was my self-esteem so low that I allowed this to happen? And now it's like, how do I deal with the fact that the people that claim that they love me taught me a bunch of bullshit? Like, how do I deal with that? You understand what I'm saying? How do I deal with that? Give them the grace that they knew what they knew and still love them without wanting to choke them or punch a hole in their face. You understand what I'm saying? Like, how do you do that? And to keep it real, I am still struggling with that to this day.
That's what angry man comes from. Right
that's why I am always pissed off. I'm mad because I can't be mad, but I'm mad.
But
you understand
mad.
What I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
Yeah.
Listen, man, I've lost friends. I quit talking to people. I just got cool with I just got cool with a few members of my family after I actually was able to sit down and have a logical conversation where it didn't feel like I was attacking them as a person by speaking how I was feeling. You understand what I'm saying? And a lot of times, man, when you going through this, especially when you're talking about family, a lot of times the things that come out of your mouth you really mean and you really need to say, but you feel like you're being disrespectful. You understand what I'm saying? You really feel like you're being disrespectful, but it's not really disrespect. It's more along the lines of, man, listen, man, I can't take what you taught me into my next level. I can't. So if that means that you think I don't love you anymore, then that's a you problem, because I never said that. That's on you. I also don't do blind loyalty either. I'm not loyal to anybody based off of a position that they have in my life or that we share the same blood. I ask questions now, because a lot of time, and that's another one of these cycles that a lot of these people need to break. It's not disrespectful to go on about your life, because you supposed to. It's actually your moral obligation as a human being created on this planet to go on about your life and do what you're supposed to do as a man, or do what you're supposed to do as a woman. You're supposed to do that. That's why you're here.
Mm-hmm.
It's not disrespectful to do that. Now, if the people around you look at it as disrespect or look at it as competition, that lets you know that those are the people that you need to cut out of your life, no matter how bad it hurt. It is what it is. It's going to suck a lot, because you're going to lose a lot of people that you thought loved you and that you thought you loved. You might even still love them, but you can love them from over there, because I got to go over here, because over here is where I'm supposed to be. You understand what I'm saying? There isn't an age that you have this epiphany. There's a moment in time that makes you sit down and examine shit. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm still examining shit, because sometimes I still fall back in my old ways. It's simple, but it's not easy. It's, as I say this all the time, man, the process that I'm in right now, even though I just started this, 8 years ago. Actually, you know what? I take that back. It wasn't 35. 35 was when I said, I'm about to go. We about to do this. It actually started when I was around 25, 30.
Okay, yeah.
It was actually around 25, 30. And that
25 is like that. 25 to 27, like
Yeah.
you have like a singularity moment at 25, and then by 27 you kind of taking the steps towards it. And that, because like when you realize, like, man, I'm almost 30. You know what I'm saying? Because
Like,
when you're 25, 8 years prior to that, you was 17.
right. So it was like, it's like around that time, I was like, all right, something is wrong. I know I'm better than this. But it was at 35 where I was like, F this. I'm not doing this no more.
Never again.
I am going to deal with the pain, because I don't have a choice.
Yeah, man, those singularity moments that I'm speaking on, it's a lead up to, I'm gonna play this next video, because the reality that everybody experiences about how they're being raised doesn't all, like, beforehand, because like we're in our 40s, a lot of stuff we lived in life didn't get documented. It was just on TV, and it was like, wow, that's crazy, you know. But then now that we got documentation on everything, everybody's an oracle. Everybody is a reference point in a journey. You know what I'm saying? They either heard somebody, saw something, or experienced it, right? So check this video out.
With 8th grade girls, and I asked them to tell me what their goals were. This one particular young lady said that she wanted to have 2 kids. So I said, so are you going to have a husband? And she said, nope. And I said, please tell me why you would choose in the 8th grade to have a goal of having 2 kids and not be married. She said, because if I'm married to him, I can't collect child support. And then she said, why should I marry a man that I have kids by? He might have issues or something. He might be on drugs. And I said, well, if he's too bad to be your husband, do you really think he's going to make a better father?
8th grade, 13 years old.
That's an environment, and that's a system thing.
Right.
She's going by what her mama taught, or what her mama did, or what the women in her family did, and the women in her family are going by what they mamas did.
Repeating the pattern.
That's a cycle.
That's the teaspoon of grace right there. You know what I'm saying?
That's a cycle.
So like the way I looked at that video, and then thinking about like the singularity moment, when they get a little bit old, let's just say fast forward 10 years. Let's just say they're 23, and they got the same epiphany moment that you're going through, and they say, man, how did I get here? It's got to be different. But what does that life look like if you're already thinking like that at 13? How many kids did you already make? Because you're probably around somebody that's going to foster an environment for you to be a teen parent. You know what I'm saying? I'd be interested to know if if the lady could follow up and find out if, you know what I'm saying, if those young women, became mothers shortly after that. Because if they was 13 at the time, they was already in prime territory for something to happen.
And if they didn't get out of the environment that they was in and learn something new, then of course the pattern is going to continue.
Yep. So
this is the grace. Now, this is also where I talk to the men.
Yep.
This is how they are talking at 13 in the 8th grade. You're not stupid. You see what's happening.
Yep.
Because
the likelihood and probability that it's going to be an older guy to take advantage of a situation like that is a lot higher than what people think, Or no, I ain't going to say what they think, what they're willing to accept openly. Because this ain't nothing new. You know what I'm saying? Like young girls have always been targets of predators. But at the same time, these young girls know how to prey and make themselves available to be preyed on too. So they are victims in the legal sense, but in terms of how they've been groomed, they're just functioning in their environment based off the way that they was raised.
Yeah, they think this is normal.
It's so many women that got survival stories rooted in a lot of sexual misconduct that they were raised in, sexually promiscuous environments, a lot of hardships. A lot of these young women end up raising their own siblings because they don't have no structure in the house, whether, you know what I'm saying, they got parents that work a lot or parents that's in the street. And how we go about it, that's where the teaspoon of grace comes from, because they can only be responsible for so much of themselves. You know what I'm saying? Not giving no passes, because everybody's got a chance to make a different decision than what they see.
Yeah, it's like we're not condoning this and we're not condemning it. We're just trying to understand it. Yep. Because this is where we are right now. You understand what I'm saying? This is where we are. We're trying to understand how we got here, so that way we're trying to reverse engineer this so we can figure out what happened and we can stop the cycle.
Yep. At least throw something out there. Something.
Yeah, man.
I don't care who it offends, because we're only talking about behavior, and somebody's got to draw some lines in the sand.
If you get offended, that's on you. That is on you, man.
Go tell it to a therapist. You know,
right, man. Because we're not talking about anybody specifically. And that's why I said the last time we talked, man, a lot of people, the behavior is so intertwined with who they are as a person that they can't tell the difference between us talking about the behavior and us insulting them. Yeah. That's why I don't care about being offensive.
Mm-hmm.
Because to me opening my mouth right now runs the risk of me offending somebody. Yeah. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm. It is, man. And it's like, so like when we already talked about the who, the what, the where. Have we talked about where? No. Where are these personality types most likely to meet?
That is a really good question, because this is a cross-cultural thing. This isn't just us. You understand what I'm saying? This is a cross-cultural thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really good question. I don't know where sexually undisciplined people hang out, because I don't hang out there. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't know.
Because, and that's the reason I came up with that question too, is because if we're going to identify behavior and say that it exists, and these are the characteristics of it, these are the people that's involved, where would I be most likely to encounter these people, and how do I avoid them once I recognize them, right?
I would look at it, then if that's the case, objectively speaking, I would look at it from a resource standpoint. You would probably find these types of people in places where resources are very, very limited. And I'm not talking money. I'm talking resources, as in different access to people that they can talk to, so that way they can rewire their brain to think differently. You understand what I'm saying? When we speak resources, we're not always talking about money, even though money's a component of it. It's not really it, because you can have all the money in the world and you can have all the resources in the world and still make some of the same dumb decisions that we talking about right now. You understand what I'm saying? So I would say it's mostly resource based, and I would say it's mostly environment based. But the environment is where the resources are limited.
Okay, I get down with that too. The characteristics of the environment definitely play a hand in it too, because I would say poverty plays a huge role in this, because just like early on, when my man I.B. Hegler said these guys needed somewhere to live, poverty is probably part of that, because if most people wouldn't behave this way. Well, let's just say, you think it's safe to say that most people wouldn't behave this way if their financial situation was different?
Nope. Because I wouldn't say that, because they say money doesn't change you. It makes you more of what you already are.
So then would you agree that there's a level of poverty spirit that exists in the mind?
That's where I said the resources that ain't got nothing to do with money.
So you think
it's a mind, yeah. You
thinking
the way that your mind is set, but teaspoon of grace.
Spoon of grace.
Your environment might have been conducive to how your mindset was set up.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt that at all. It's like even growing up where I grew up. No matter where I'm at, or no matter what place I travel to, at some point, I'm gonna find something that reminds me of how I was raised. And like, it's not that I go looking for it intentionally; it just happens. You know what I'm saying?
It's at a subconscious level.
It's at a subconscious level. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, oh, I feel comfortable here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I see a couple people that's doing something that reminds me of where I grew up at, and and then next thing you know, it's like, oh, that's me. You know what I'm saying? Because I wouldn't recognize any of that the same way if I didn't grow up. If I grew up differently, there's certain things that I probably wouldn't even pay attention to. So I think it's always you. And once you recognize something that makes you feel like you're at home, even if you're in a different place, you got to question that a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Because it's an alternative version of the reality that you came from. Like I believe, like, if you put it in a sense like you've seen in the latest animated Spider-Man movies,
mm-hmm.
And it's basically the multiverse, right? No matter where he goes, there's a Spider-Man there. There's a protagonist and an antagonist. Somebody got to make a decision, a hero's decision, and you might have somebody that crosses, different dimensions, but they don't behave the same way. You know what I'm saying? They got a completely different set of problems than what you could relate to. That's how fickle humans are, because whatever dimension that your mind is in is what you put out into the world, and how you deal with conflict is going to vary. You know what I'm saying? Based on the way that you think. So when you think about where these people are most likely to meet, in every society, economics and poverty factors into this particular dynamic. So that's why, like, you can watch 600 Pound Life, and they got the same problems. You know what I'm saying? With 600 pounds to go with it.
I mean, it all stemmed from the environment that they came from.
From the environment they came from.
They something traumatic happened in their life, and they dove into food, and then they found somebody to enable their behavior instead of saying, hey, you need to go talk to somebody because you unhealthy.
And it's always the mothers coddling, you know what I'm saying, the child, the grown child.
Either that or the spouse.
Yeah, but then that says more about the spouse, because, like, who wants to put their wife on a forklift everywhere they go? You know what I'm saying? Who,
right.
you know what I'm saying? Like you want to spend your marriage going back and forth to the doctor? Even if you got your own problems, disciplined people don't want to burden anyone else with what they got to deal with. You know what I'm saying? We'd rather rot and waste away. You know what I'm saying? No matter how you want to slice it as being pride or whatever else it might be.
It's not pride.
It's not even
It's
pride
not
though.
pride at all.
Yeah.
It's more along the lines of. I should be doing this. You understand what I'm saying? That's what took me so. It's difficult for a disciplined person to ask for help, because when a disciplined person asks for help, they view it as failure instead of viewing it as, I'm on this journey, but I need people. We're community based. Listen, man. I don't care. And this isn't me talking a male female dynamic. We need each other, period. More than what mainstream media and social media and all of these outlets would lead you to believe, man. We need each other. In the Matrix Reloaded, when Neo was sitting next to the Oracle, right before all of those agents came out of nowhere and Neo had to fight them off and fly away, the Oracle said something that it always stuck with me. She said the only thing that she is concerned about is the future, and the only way to get there is together.
There's just no way you can avoid having to interact with people. So like you could spend your life dodging all of the wrong people or trying to work and nurture relationships that you already have with the right people.
And that's nature.
And that's nature.
That's nature.
Yes.
We weren't built to do this by ourselves. Yes, there are individual things that we can do, but collectively to move forward as a whole, we need each other. And it ain't an ego.
Because you can only get so far with a certain group of people, by yourself, with this one person, these two people over here. Your ceiling changes. And what you can prove changes. Because you either gonna have people and money, or you don't have the environment. There's plenty of dope people in the wrong environment right now, so you'll never see them.
Oh hell yeah! I see it every day when I punch in.
I feel like that even where I've traveled to. I feel like I should have been doing something different. I feel like what I have to say should have been, already accepted.
Like we should have been doing this 10 years ago.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? But I also feel like my understanding is now catching up with my work. So, because I had my head down just working, doing my thing, and then still not realizing that how much progress I'm really making, and when you start, because your concept of time changes, you know what I'm saying? When you start thinking about the people that you invite in your life and the time that you spend with them, and what do you get out of it? You know what I'm saying? Without no money involved, what do you get out of it? And it is not transactional. You know what I'm saying? Because it's something that you would do anyway, whether they were there or not.
It's equivalent exchange.
Mm-hmm.
It's equivalent exchange. Yes, there is no gain without sacrifice, and you have to sacrifice first. And the sacrifice is not up to you.
It's really not, because sometimes you're getting sacrificed.
And sometimes you can give a little and get a lot.
Telling you, man, it's just the spectrum of one tweet here, one tweet there. You got there too early, 2 minutes too late, stayed 2 minutes too long, sent one too many text messages, one too many emails, or not at all. And sometimes you get something where you do nothing, but you've already done the work. It just hadn't made it back to you yet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And
that's what I'm saying.
I know what you mean.
That's what I mean by equivalent exchange. Like you putting in the work, and sometimes the work is the exchange.
Yeah, Because look, man, you remember when I think we had the elevated dialogue episode and we were talking about men need to be good at something.
Mm-hmm.
And I said we have to trade work with each other. Men trade work. Because you have to prove your concept. If you can't show up for free and dedicate, you know what I'm saying, a couple minutes, then how can we go forward? What can I trust you on? You know what I'm saying? And if you can't do those small things the right way, then what can you demand of me?
Not only that, if you can't do the small things the right way, what makes you think I'm gonna trust you with something big?
Man, especially when I've given so much to show you. I've invested, you know what I'm saying, my time and or my resources, whatever that looks like. At some point, we have to really take inventory about at the next shift in my life, what am I going to take with me and what am I going to leave behind? What behaviors am I going to, you know what I'm saying, be okay with, and which ones, you know what I'm saying, do I want to improve on? You know what I'm saying? So that happens, you know what I'm saying, multiple times a day. Because the minute that somebody gives you any type of reason to speculate differently, they go into this box. Does this person fit my discipline? Does this person value what I value?
Is this person coachable enough for me to share my discipline with them?
And can I accept their coaching? Are they capable of mentoring me, or is it going to be a one-way relationship where they always need coaching and guidance from me? You know what I'm saying? So all of these things go into, you know, who we meet, who we attracted to, what burdens that we want to carry, and who do we feel comfortable with, you know what I'm saying, about our own burdens.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, there he is right there. Oh, man.
Shit.
Coming to the stage.
Here we go.
There he is right there.
Here we go.
Monsieur Antoine.
I'm just bullshitting. Don't pay me no attention. I'm just bullshitting.
What's up? What's going on, Antoine? Oh, man, you done zoomed in.
Oh, shoot.
What? Like,
the whole face.
Man, they gotta zoom out. That's dangerous.
Listen, man, some things
never,
ever change, man.
Yeah. Look, we gonna always have some. Hey, unmute your mic, Antoine.
Back up. How do I back up on this thing?
Why do you wait till the cookout to try a new recipe?
Right.
Woo! Sorry, guys.
Yeah, what's going on, man? I know it's Sunday, and glad you could jump in.
Sorry for the lateness.
It's all good.
We know it's early where you from. So
hey, look. This is one of the times where, you know, like it was already an impromptu thing, and it's just it still works.
Teaspoon of grace.
It's a teaspoon of grace. You know what I'm saying?
Grace. Appreciate that. Especially when you go out last night and you're like, and then
it's still on. Yeah, I see it. I see it. Hey, so yeah, we're getting closer to the end of this conversation anyway. You know, we're just rehashing some of the videos and stuff that we looked at last week and giving a chance to you know, break down a little bit more in detail, like the mindset that goes with you know, why disciplined people think a certain way and why undisciplined people make the decisions they make. And
like this was the show where because I spoke about the undisciplined side of it, because that's the environment that I came from, and we went real in depth about it. But you come from a different background than I do, so you can share a different side of it, and maybe I can learn something. Because every time you talk, even though sometimes you come across as an asshole, I learned something. You understand what I'm saying?
You know what? I don't even think I come across as an asshole. I just say it the way people don't like to hear it. I just have no filter, because I don't believe there needs to be filter in order for change to come about.
And
that's
you know
the problem.
what?
Everybody wants to hear it so nice, but you know what? You can't make bad news sound pretty. It's still bad news.
And you know what? I'm losing that. I'm losing that filter that we're born with too.
Yeah,
So that's why I said
what
that.
got
That's
people.
why. Yeah, that's why I said when you talk, I learn a little something, even though it comes across a little like.
No, but I'll
I
tell you
get it
what.
though.
But I'll tell you one thing: my filter, at least my filter, the friends I have are my friends. When my phone rings, I know I want to pick up that call, so I don't have to worry about that. Right? The people in my life know me, so I don't have to put on a fake facade and say, "Oh, no." They know if I don't call you back, I'm really busy. They don't jump to the next conclusion. You got to tell people the way it is today, man. Especially with this modern dating life. Trust me, man. Doesn't make it any easier. I don't care what anybody says. And you know what? If you don't like it, it's okay. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, nor do I want to be. Right? It's either you like me or you don't. If you have to think about it, I don't need you. You have to serve a purpose in my life. What are you there for? Just like I have to serve a purpose in yours. That's how I see things. I see things raw like that, and I like it raw like that. I like that if I do something, I don't even know if this is on topic, but if I do something wrong, I want you to tell me right then and there. Don't save it up for later, because later I don't want to hear it, because later I don't care.
We're talking about the accountability aspect of it. So
yeah,
that's really what it is.
I believe that taking accountability is telling me right then and there. There's never a good time to tell somebody something. The good time is when it comes to your mind and you tell them. You pull them to the side. You don't do it out in the open, of course. There's a certain etiquette about it. But I've always had. I wouldn't say I have that problem, but I've always had that. I wouldn't say problem. I mean, I've always had that. Oh, geez, Antoine, you gotta have it. Man, you just can't say it like that. I'm like, why? If you're fat, you're fat. I can't change that. What do you want me to tell you? You look big? You look thick? No, you're fat. Take the fork out of your mouth. What do you want me to tell you?
We were just talking about 600-pound life. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm like, why are you guys making it so complicated? How do you tell somebody, Chris, seriously, if somebody's looking to lose weight, or they're your not even your significant other, just somebody that
you give a fuck about.
Yeah. And they say, well, I want to lose weight. And dude, it's calories in, calories out. You can hear all the fancy words you want.
And that's why I said I appreciate a lot of the stuff that you say, because I can take in the meat and spit out the bones. Pause. You understand what I'm saying? Like I can take what you say. Like, all right, there's a difference between being an asshole and being direct. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And I'm gonna say us, because I just moved into this no filter life, that a lot of us never understood the difference between being direct and being just flat out rude. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's why I said earlier that I when I speak, I don't care about being offensive, because I can open my mouth and say hi to you and you can be offended by it. You understand what I'm saying? So
yeah.
What's the point of being afraid of offending somebody? And I can't tell somebody that I care about them and not tell them the full truth at the same time. Those two things, I don't think they can fit in the same box, if that makes any sense. Like, if I give a fuck about you, I got to tell you the truth, no matter how much it may be.
Wouldn't you have that discussion with them before? Like, if they get to know Chris, right? And they find out, oh, you know what? Chris is just straight blunt, man. If I'm going to be with this guy, he's not going to sugarcoat anything. He's going to know, like, if I come up to him and I ask certain things and I question certain things, I'm going to get a direct answer. But one thing,
going to be objective. I'm not going to be a douche.
No, I'm not saying you have to be a douche. But
what I'm saying is, that's why I said earlier, people can't tell the difference between being direct and being a douchebag.
You care if they can't tell the difference as long as they hear what they hear?
That's where I am. That's why I don't have a filter no more.
Yeah.
What I'm saying?
I don't care what purpose do you serve in my life if I think that you think I'm a douche? Like, what am I talking to somebody that knows me, or am I talking to somebody that's coming into my life?
No, but what I'm saying is, you can have somebody in your life that knows that they can come to you and get the truth.
Exactly.
And the way that you and they may take the way that you go about it as offensive, without being able to take in what you say. Like, all right, I know he's saying it like this, but he really gives a fuck about me. So him saying it like this must mean that he cares.
Yep.
And a lot of people can't. Yeah, and a lot of people can't tell the difference between that and being quote unquote mean.
You don't find a lot of people today, Chris, let's be real. You don't find a lot of people today can't handle the truth?
I find a lot of people today like their behaviors being condoned.
Yeah, and I don't condone nothing I don't like that's not on my path.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never gonna do that because I got to tell you like it is. Just because I don't care. For me, things don't make a background if race, color, and all that, right? If you're doing something wrong, you're doing something wrong. I'm not gonna take your side because I look like you. It's wrong.
We were talking about blind loyalty earlier too. I don't do that either. So you have, like I said, man, a lot of the stuff that you say, I can take in and be like, all right, he got a point.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of people should have that point. I think a lot of people should make that point. It would save a lot of people a lot of headaches. I think you need to be like that. Me personally, it's always served me. When I came into my own, I say as a man, it always served me good to do that. You know, did I hurt some feelings? Oh yeah. Was I wrong in a lot of times? A lot of judgment calls? Hell yeah. But you know what? I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change a thing because the people that are in my life right now know me. So I don't have to make up
supposed to be there.
Yeah, I don't have to make up an excuse. I don't want to make up an excuse. Like you guys know me pretty much now, so I don't have to make up an excuse, you know? And I don't think you should. I think a lot of people just can't handle the truth. You know? A lot of people can't handle the truth. It's like, you know, I think if a lot of people take accountability for when they hear the truth, I think I would think it would save them a lot of embarrassment. It would save them a lot of guessing. I think it would save them a lot of they would know who their friends are. But right now, a lot of people are this modern people I find are fake. They tell you what they want to hear, stuff like that, and I don't have to deal with that. At least not in my life.
See,
you know, I don't have to deal with that. I don't care if you like me. What purpose do you serve in my life that I have to care that you like me? That's what I want to know. And if you're just a random person that's coming into my life, you ain't talking about me because you don't know me. That's your judgment. You got one like everybody else, but it really does nothing for me.
Right.
You know.
I'm there with you.
So, I mean, and I've heard it from, I've heard it from black, white, all kinds of races. So I don't care. I live my life not caring. And when I say not caring, meaning in a way that you're going to hear what you're going to hear, and you're going to hear it the way you hear it, and you're not going to tell me how to say it because you're going to hear it the way you hear it. So there's no misunderstanding if I like you or don't like you. I don't care. Really, and I'm honest about that. You know?
Yeah. Man,
that's how I see it.
I'm glad that you was able to join the show and finally get here. Like you had a good night out.
Whew. I'm not a drinker.
So
it's the pregame to my Ravens. You know my Ravens are playing today.
Yeah. Normally he come in with his hair flared out. He came in immediate ponytail.
I got it.
When I saw him backstage, I was like, "Oh, he put one on last night." Whew. So,
but you know,
hey, look, it happens, man. Hey, I'm glad Chris was available. You know,
me too. I like talking to Chris. I like to like Chris, man.
So I got
you stop it.
I got this. So I got this question up on the screen.
Oh, my bad.
And you know, I'm just looking at my notes of some of the stuff I scribbled down over the last couple of weeks when I was thinking about how I wanted this particular series to go. Right. But a lot of times we talk about accountability. I don't think that. I think we're skipping some steps sometimes because, like, when I hear it, I'm like, I think people know the word, but they don't really have a process that really establishes what accountability is. A lot of times, accountability is just somebody saying, pointing the finger. Some people think pointing the finger is accountability. You know, like saying, "You did that," right? And I think that if you focused on discipline, you do less finger pointing. You know. Because if you discipline, you don't make the same decisions. You know what I'm saying? Like that would amount to finger pointing at some point. You hold yourself accountable. That's what discipline is, right? So when I started thinking about that, and I was talking to Unc, and he was like, you know, Vic, you bring up, you know, great points about sexual discipline and sexual undisciplined people. He said, but what about sexual ignorance? Here's a teaspoon of grace conversation, right? Like, what, like when you think about that, and there's a lot of people that just don't, that's where we get a teaspoon of grace at, right?
Mm-hmm.
When it comes down to the ignorance piece, how would you define sexual ignorance from your point of view, Antoine?
When you don't protect yourself when you're having sex, when you think you're not going to get pregnant and you get pregnant.
Do you think that's ignorant or lack of?
Yeah, that's you're ignorant. You know what's going to go down. You can't say you didn't know. You're thinking with the wrong head.
No, and that's why I asked the question, right?
Yeah, you're thinking with the wrong head.
Ignorance, by definition, means like you have no reference point. Meaning,
you're
like
thinking with the wrong head. You're thinking with your feelings. You're not thinking with your brain. You're thinking with your organ. Sexual ignorance is thinking I'm not going to get pregnant, or this girl can't get pregnant, or I can't catch a disease,
or could it be this? If it's ignorance, you don't have a reference point, so they're not thinking about it at all. Now,
true.
So
you're going. Yeah.
So ignorance is about not having no prior understanding. What you're talking about is absolutely true, and this means like if you know better, you should be doing better. That's the way I hear.
But you know better. Let's be real.
You
know well enough.
That's why I brought the question, because Chris, I'm gonna tell you, said earlier, he said we're not stupid,
we're not dumb,
we're not dumb.
Come on,
and I'm fielding the question only because I wanted to show how hard it is to create a conversation around. You don't know what you. I understand you didn't know what you was doing. Like you got 17, you know what I'm saying, different kids with different people. At what point did you not see a pattern? You know what I'm saying? And like you defeat your own ignorance by your own individual experience too. You know what I'm saying? Like you could see something on TV and don't think that it's real.
But you cannot say.
But you can't hide this.
You know. My goodness, you know who you're spreading it for. You're not stupid. You know who you're laying down with. At a certain age and time, okay, I'll give you, adolescent when you're young.
Oh, and also too, focus on the men, because like
I'm focusing on the men. You know what you're doing when you're doing it.
Yep.
You just don't care. It's like alcohol. Alcohol doesn't make you forget. Alcohol just makes you not care. At a certain point, you forget, but alcohol just makes you not care. You get that coraggio, as they say in you. And that makes you want to do anything. That's all alcohol. That's the alcohol that brings out the ignorance.
Yeah.
Right? There's a reason there.
Yeah.
But you cannot say, I don't remember. Come on now. You know you remember.
You know why you were doing it. You know why you were
doing it.
Yeah.
You know.
You're trying to forget.
Yeah. You say you're trying to forget. But that whole I was young and dumb. Were you really young and dumb? Or did you just think with the wrong head?
Did you not take sexual education in high school?
Even if they didn't, Chris, you know what happens when you spread it, and you know what happens when you go inside.
I gotta agree with Antoine right there, because saying you young and dumb implies that you took a chance. It literally implies it. Like I'm young enough, you know what I'm saying? But like I somewhat know better. I know that the chance that I'm taking, if I'm taking the chance, that means it's a calculated risk to some degree.
Right.
And either you're good at math or bad at math.
Absolutely.
So, okay. So the sexual ignorance, like who would you grant sexual ignorance to if it existed?
Nobody.
There's nobody that is sexually ignorant.
Nobody, man. Not with all the knowledge that we have right now and all of the things that we see on these devices and on television. There's no such thing as sexual ignorance. You know what you're doing. You just taking a shot because you think that there might be a slim chance that it won't happen to you.
Exactly.
I don't believe in sexual ignorance. We know too much. We have too much information that we have access to, man.
There is no such thing as sexual ignorance.
Hey, look, I'm glad that Unc gave me that question, because like I thought about it really hard, because let's say there was, can we agree that there was a period in time where sexual ignorance was a thing?
No.
So check this out. Let me give you a scenario.
Wait.
See, here we go.
Sexual ignorance was a thing prior to knowledge. Yeah, you didn't know what you knew at the time you knew it.
Okay, because that's the thing. Like Chris brought up all of the technology that shares all this information and gives us everything. Like you can get porn anywhere, right? So,
Right.
but I would argue that if you go back in time and like look at cartoons, most people didn't even learn about where babies came from unless they was watching cartoons. The stork
That's true.
the baby off.
That's true. I mean,
that's that. Would you not say that?
Okay,
okay,
I'll give you that. Teaspoon of grace.
Teaspoon of grace. You know what I'm saying?
Teaspoon of grace.
You know, like you didn't have contraceptives randomly out there like that. You know, today they have places you can go pick them up for free and stuff like that. You know, when you're younger, you're kind of shy to go to the drugstore and, you know, kind of like take that thing off the shelf and just put it on the counter there when you're buying it. You know what I mean? You're just slipping it in between the milk and bread, you know?
Or we were making water balloons.
and you don't want it to go like this, you know? Ding, ding.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gonna be a good night, right?
Right.
You know, let's be real. That was a thing back then, right?
Okay, so yeah, I agree with that. It's like things, the way information gets shared, you can't use it as an excuse. You can't say in 2020 that your mama was teaching you about the stork. Are you crazy? You know what I'm saying? Like,
kids are getting that on the back of a bus now.
Yeah, like, you know, there's a lot of things that have been just dispelled with just time. You know what I'm saying? Like, used to be, oh, you got to put on a jacket or you're going to go outside, you're going to get sick. Now, germs are what get you sick, not whether or not you got a jacket.
You don't worry about the jacket anymore.
Yeah, like, does not having a jacket make you more susceptible to, you know what I'm saying, like your body temperature dropping and thus making you more exposed and more vulnerable? Yeah. If you outside for an exposed period of time. But like when you raise where as soon as the temperature changes, you got to wear a coat everywhere you go. You know, like you got this situation wearing this, you know what I'm saying, it's just different for illness, you know, when like when COVID hit and the remedy was all you got to do is wash your hands, you know, like
use hand sanitizer and wear a mask.
Yeah.
The only thing I wasn't doing before COVID was wearing a mask, but everything else I was washing my hands and stuff.
Yeah,
like this thing made you want to go get toilet paper and actually wash your hands.
Yeah, exactly.
What was
what were you doing before?
What was you doing?
Really?
Yeah, you know, I agree with that. But I just think too many people today are sexually undisciplined. They pretend to be sexually ignorant. I just find it, you know, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of them do pretend to be ignorant.
And the men too. I you know, some of those studly guys out there that got their shit together. I mean, they're just, you know, ignorant and careless and taking advantage of a lot of. And if you watch social media and all that, they'll tell you to take advantage of the situation you're in. That's the sad thing with all this, right? They don't preach because that talk sells and makes money and gets your views and likes up. That kind of talk. But at the end of the day, that's not what you should be, you know, preaching about. You know, the average guy is what, 5'8", 5'9". The average guy ain't 6'1". The average guy ain't 6 foot. The average guy makes what, 42 or whatever it is statistically.
41.5.
41. He ain't making no 80 grand. Jesus Christmas, man. Come on.
That shit, 80 grand puts you in the top 20% of all men in the United States of America.
Exactly. You know, 80 grand is a lot of money. And people that scoff, even 60 grand is a lot of money if you're living by yourself. That's a lot of money, right? 41, you're coming up and you're doing good because you're looking where to put your money. So you could jump that to 60 and these are real numbers. Let's be realistic. These are real numbers that are attainable. You can work 2 jobs and get 41. And that's
one job
and that's at Starbucks, right? That's 21 something an hour. That's at Starbucks, and minimum wage is going to go up too. So 41 is going to be
shoot, 41 might mess around and be poverty in a couple years.
Yeah, exactly. I think. Well, yeah. Obviously, yeah, because the economy is going to. I mean, things are going up, right? Look at the price of bread today. Jeez, a loaf of bread is like $4, something like that. Look at eggs. Eggs is ridiculous, you know, and you'd be ignorant to think that you don't have to evolve with it, or you know you're going to be content. Today, you can't be content with what you're making and doing.
You're gonna get consumed. You're gonna definitely get consumed by it if you don't think that you have to adjust. You know, for sure. So
you know, today, you need a car today. You have no choice but to get you need a car. You can't get around on buses today. You need a car, and you need a roof over your head. Man, if I was growing up today, I would live under my parents' roof as long as I can before I branch out. I would make sure that I live so good underneath their roof before I branch out. Oh my goodness, because it is not easy out there. And it's oof. Let's see what happens when I don't want to get political, but anyway.
Man, Antoine, you gonna get out your point no matter how you feel like you gotta get it out. Like, I don't know why you
say I don't know why you doing
yeah,
this.
like
Stop.
like
what is wrong
he's
with
sparing us or something. You know what I'm saying?
Like,
no,
get out of here.
I just we do these podcasts, guys. We do these podcasts, and you hear so much bullshit on the what you got next to you. You know what you're doing. Is you play it off like you don't know, and you become it's just stupid to me. And I'm talking about I watch a lot because when I'm drawing, I put one on. I got my
and
my
you
coach,
hear the nonsense.
and you hear it, and you're like, did he really just say that? Did he really just say that? Did he really just call her that? Did she really just say that 80,000 is okay? Did he really just say that he's okay making 40 grand? I hear this shit and I'm like, where are you living that you can just be content with that? Are you on a farm with sheep and cows? Like
a lot of codependent people. Because like even when you by yourself, it's not enough. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll tell you right now, like I get like my disability, from being in the army and stuff, and it's good money. But
I looked into that actually.
I'm all right. You know what I'm saying?
I looked into that.
Some people,
when you guys talked, you and Garfield talked about it. I go, let me see how much these guys get for that. The average is damn good.
Some people gotta bust their ass. You know what I'm saying? Like some people gotta really bust their ass. You know what I'm saying? Like and work a lot of overtime to net what just gets deposited. You know what I'm saying, to other veterans, and even then, like I'm highly appreciative of it because but I earned that.
You did.
You know what I'm saying? Like I went to go get it. Anybody that makes anything is not getting it handed to them. You know? And if you want to rise above that, you got to do something else extra. Yeah. Like you got to have something going. So like nobody is making, I am not going to say nobody. The probability that a person that makes 80 grand a year and they're getting it from one place, it's an ideal situation. You know what I'm saying? Like where like your salary is like paid from this place and it's one place only at this rate, you know what I'm saying? Rain, sleet, snow, or shine.
Right.
And it's going to stay that way forever, or that job is going to be there, or that place has some upward mobility. Because like, let's just say you got a great paying job and it stops there and it's capped. What happens when technology starts outpacing, you know what I'm saying, like your individual growth, and then they replace you with an app? What's the probability that you could stay in that same position where you making that money that you're making and you can do this 20 years from now? There's nothing that's like guaranteed the next 6 months to a year from now. You know, this trucks are already driving themselves. AI is replacing attorneys, AI in general, secretaries, like anybody that deals with admin and clerical work, your skill is on the line. They're gonna make you work for AI.
Yeah, like, your job is going to be determined by AI. I think you're absolutely right about that. But but honestly, when you talk about this sexual discipline too, if I was a woman, I would make sure I'm sexually disciplined to one man early in my life. I would not want to take this journey that's coming up alone. I would not want to. It's tough out there, dude. There's like it's the lions and it's beastful out there. You gotta. Why would you want to be Why would you not want to be coupled with someone to have a nuclear family? Is my guess is beyond me. as a woman.
Because the environment that they are in and the messages that they are getting are telling them that they can do it by themselves, and they are believing it like some idiots.
Idiots, man. Idiots. You're not going to make enough by yourself. And if you do, it's going to be one lonely life. It is not fun.
It's definitely a
man that knows.
I will say this, though. I will say this. I am starting to see more women come out and say, I don't want to do this by myself. I'm starting to see that. So I guess the cycles are changing, but I think the cycles are changing because the men are starting, as slow as it may seem, the men are starting to become more disciplined. You got 3 men on this panel right now who are single without any children.
Yeah.
And to keep it real, this is really the norm. We went over the stats the last time.
Two, you know.
Well, you married,
people,
but still, even when you were single, you did not have any children, and you
found
out that you was paying
responsible
for a kid that didn't even belong to you.
Right. You know,
understand what I'm saying? Like this, to keep it real, this is really the norm, but we are not the norm as far as social media and everything else.
Because you know why, Chris? We don't sit back and brag about making common sense decisions.
And it's not a flex.
It's not a flex.
It's not a flex. That's the point. You know, like, and this is why, like, when I said, like, earlier, it's the masses that get easily hypnotized by the few. And once you got a demographic of people that all share a similar experience with a few amount of men, it becomes the loudest voice. And whereas, like, the men that don't share those same experiences are like, well, that's on them, and we just minding our business, right?
Yeah, we chilling.
But the people that have made the conversation so loud and made it so popular, and it's not even the norm, have forced men with no kids to sit back and say, hey, we got to have another conversation, because you're not fixing to keep putting us, you know what I'm saying, into that bad decision-making batch that you're in. You know what I'm saying? Like, we kind of just been sit back chilling because it ain't been our business. But when it comes down to it, it has some residual impact on how you're perceived in the world as a man.
Yeah, it's like we gotta say something now.
Yeah, it's like
we
you gotta
have
say
to
something
now.
Whereas before we were just minding our business, and then now it's like when we're talking about it, you feel dirty. You feel like I gotta flex about, you know what I'm saying, not having the same experiences as, you know what I'm saying, that you've had.
We have to talk like having common sense is a superpower.
That's how that's where the bar is right now.
That's sad.
We have to talk like having common sense. We are the Justice League.
Yeah, that's sad to hear that, though.
And also too, let me put it like this too. Somebody's gonna look at it and say, oh, they either can't have or can't get the woman they want or nothing like that, or something to that effect. Like, no, you're making decisions based on your environment.
I could knock on 2 doors down from my apartment complex and wreck some shop.
Yep. Yeah.
It's not a question of if we can get it.
It's
a question of why should we get it when we are not where we are supposed to be right now?
What's the format?
We can't even fit it into our lives like we want to.
But is it fair to say, though, realistically, is it fair to say you think men today realistically are going after the women they know they can get, like, fairly? Are you really think men are disciplined at saying, you know what, every man wants a dime, you can't afford it? Let's be real.
Well, let's.
Are the men really realistic in their choices of women?
So I'm gonna go.
Before we do that,
I'm about to say I'm about to go to the stat man. You know what I'm saying? Like, number one, let's take away all the men that don't have children, and then work with the remainder that does have children.
Wait, the men have the children? Okay, go. Okay.
No, I'm not even gonna go stats.
Well, go ahead.
I'm not gonna go stats because we all know the stats. Over half of us don't have kids. 1 out of 3 of us are married. So 20% of the men are responsible for the bulk of the children. That's just how the math works. That's basic math. However, I am starting to see men completely remove themselves from the market and focus solely on them because they see what the market is. 6 feet, 6 pack, 6 figures, 6 inches. If we can get those 4 things.
Okay, I'm lost on one.
No, but you know what I'm talking about. But what I'm saying is our height we can't really control.
Ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, and we can't really control how the divine creator endowed us. But the 6 feet, but
I blend in.
Pause. But we can control.
I made the cut.
Right. But we can control the 6-pack, and we can control the 6 figures. You understand what I'm saying? That's where the men are. The men are like, all right, these women want this. So if I get this, I can have my choice. So why would I even bother with them when I don't have these 2 things? You understand what I'm saying? That's what I'm starting to see. I'm starting to see men completely like, all right, I get my pick of the litter once I get this. So let me go get this first. And if I dabble every now and then, or somebody comes knocking around my way, I may try a little things, but I'm not taking you seriously because I don't have these things. And to keep it real, you just might be my release for the night or my release for this short span of time, but you're not who I really, really want to be with. I'm going to go get these. So that way I got my choice. That's what I'm starting to see.
Yeah. You're and a lot. Don't you notice a lot more people in the gym? Men are working out a lot more. I find an increase in the. Okay, fine. January just went by. Everybody's on their New Year's resolution shit. But don't you find a lot more men are in the gym working out? And I'm talking about some dorky looking ones too. They're trying. A lot more YouTube videos.
A whole bunch of transformation videos.
Yeah, the transformation. Exactly.
Videos.
I'm seeing a lot of that on social media. I mean, Facebook is getting loaded with a bunch of. I think that's great. I think men are waking up to saying, "Listen, I got to do something about this. This the way I look."
Participate in your own evolution.
Yeah, and I find that like their clothing is changing. They want to look a little bit better.
They want to look a little more grown up.
Some pride in themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and I can't complain about your lack of options when you not working on yourself. You can't complain about what you can't have if you're not what the market wants.
Yeah,
like I think that's just simple math. Like at a minimum, disciplined people do math very, very well. You know what I'm saying? And you have to look at like numbers are everywhere. Like your whole life is algebra. You're looking at times where you need to be somewhere, how much you weigh, how much this costs, how far you got to drive, how long you got to be there when you're there,
how many reps you got to do,
how many more reps, everything you count. You know what I'm saying? Everything you're doing is algebra. And some people ain't doing algebra. Yeah. Some people are making their life more difficult. Some people are doing trigonometry. You know what I'm saying? So like when you break down like what math people are actually doing, they're either doing some discipline math or they're doing something extremely abstract that they only know the recipe and the formula for, which is why when like if you look at what I got on the screen, I said I think people talk about accountability when they should be focused more on discipline first. There's no accountability without discipline.
I would say this.
Yeah,
I would say
discipline discipline is the foundation for everything that's successful. There's nothing successful with an undisciplined mindset.
But you have to hold yourself accountable for not having that disciplined mindset in the first place to get disciplined to hold yourself accountable. You understand what I'm saying?
Symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, it's symbiotic, but I would say the accountability comes first because you have to look at yourself and say, this is where I am. This is where I want to be. If I want to do this, I got to hold myself accountable and do this to get here. And I got to have the discipline to hold myself accountable. Yeah. But the accountability has to come first, I believe. I think accountability builds discipline.
You have to be accountable for your own actions, your own choices.
Yeah.
You got no choice. And you got to be disciplined enough to execute what you need to change.
Hey, you know
and
what?
That's the facet of accountability where I would agree with you on, because having the accountability to know that you're not where you want to be and having a discipline to get where you want to be means you have to hold yourself accountable to be disciplined to get where you want to be.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yes.
I think, and that's the reason why I kind of like wrote, like that statement, because that's what I do. That's how I function. You know what I'm saying? But one is a roadmap to the other. Because just like you said, you got to take accountability of what you are doing and where you are and what you really want. And then you have to find a discipline that coincides with you getting to where you need to go. You know what I'm saying? So like, I don't think you get one without the other. You know, it's just a choice of which one you want to start off with. You know what I'm saying? And then some situations is going to require, like, discipline is accountability, and accountability is discipline.
I think discipline is execution, though.
Discipline is just it's staying on task, on schedule, being consistent. All of that stuff is part of discipline. You know what I'm saying? The outcome of your discipline defines what kind of accountability that you have. If you're always late and you never get what you want, and you're always complaining, and it's always somebody else's fault, you have no accountability and you have no discipline. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Okay.
Because that goes back to the entitlement piece that Chris was talking about before you had came on, Antoine.
Mm-hmm.
The entitled people behave in a way where nothing is their fault, all the way around.
Or somebody is going to come bail them out when they fuck up.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, because they never needed discipline or accountability.
Because they don't do math.
They don't need it.
That's why I brought up the 4 things. That's why I brought up the 4 things. There's a 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 4.
Anything that repeats itself, it's got a recipe and it's got some ingredients. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't have a base, just like when you paint, right? There's a certain color palettes that you would use when you're just going after a certain effect. Would you say?
Yeah.
So, and you got to be disciplined about those every time. So if you're going to paint something at a base level is orange, you're going to have whatever surrounding colors that allows you to modify your oranges, right?
Right.
Yeah, and you're going to probably mix a lot of reds and yellows to make the orange.
Yeah, you see, because that's discipline. You see what I'm saying? You can't go, like I said, you can't wait till the cookout to try your new recipe, right? It's the same thing. Like anything that's got a recipe, you know? So, and shout out to my man, Jabril Otasco. I served with him, you know what I'm saying? He over in
Dubai. We in Germany,
you know
and we in Dubai.
Hey, yeah, shout out to my people that's showing up. You know what I'm saying? I told you.
Dubai.
Hey, look, stop playing with me.
We worldwide out here. I'm saying.
International. Couple different time zones, couple different hemispheres.
Wow, Dubai.
Yeah. So, facts, discipline and accountability go hand in hand. You know, so he, he gets it. Like all of us see it. That it has to be. If you just discipline, right, and you don't have nothing to tie your discipline to, then you're just sitting still.
Yeah, but discipline needs to be taught as well.
Well, it definitely needs to be taught.
And taking accountability needs to be shown.
But in order to learn, if you have to be taught, that means you have to be willing to learn, which means you have to have a certain type of discipline in order to receive information. You have to be coachable. You have to be receptive.
That's why it's so important. That's why it starts at home with the nuclear family with 2. And if you don't have a nuclear family, you have to find that environment for your child or for whoever. You have to find that environment.
You have to go create it. You have to.
You have to.
And anything worth creating requires discipline and accountability. Like we have to start saying it, because like when you say accountability, they don't take accountability. They make it sound like it's a drug, and it's not. It's an outcome. It's an outcome of discipline. You know what I'm saying? Like you take accountability as inventory of your behavior.
Right.
Because your outcomes reflect your accountability.
Right.
It's just an itemized sheet of everything that you know what I'm saying? Like you say, when you want to change something, right? You may have thought that you were being disciplined, when reality is that generally speaking, you're just being a responsible human being, but you're still not getting exactly what you want. You're doing what you got to do to stay out of somebody else's crosshairs and not be a burden to other people. That's just general human adult responsibility, being able to pay your bills, you know what I'm saying? Go grocery shopping or whatever it is that you do that, you know what I'm saying, allows you to be a healthy human being, right?
Right.
But when it's time to elevate, you can't elevate with the same behavior. You have to refine your behavior and account for, obviously, what you've been doing and make some adjustments, right? Then you have to have the discipline to stick to the plan that you just created for yourself, because when you don't get what you want based on whatever metrics, you know what I'm saying, benchmarks that you put out in front of you, you got nobody to blame but you.
True.
So
True.
if you don't have discipline, your accountability is going to be very, very fluid. It's gonna be adjustable. You're gonna always be trying. Well, I'm trying, and I'm doing the best I can.
But you have to take
But
accountability.
yeah, yep,
You
yeah.
have to. And I don't understand why that's. I don't understand why that's so hard. Honestly, it's like
Because people
Lack of discipline.
your outcomes will show you. Your outcomes will show you need to be accountable.
It's a lack of discipline.
people like
Accountability.
being victims.
Right.
Accountability
Right.
is the
I understand
invoice
that.
of your behavior. Accountability is the invoice of your behavior.
Yeah.
It's your report card.
See, and these are the things. Would you say that? See, and that's why, man. That's why it's so, man. I'm gonna say it. Women
Go
need
ahead, say
more. Women need more accountability than men in this world.
You think so?
Yeah. I think
Break that down, Antoine.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because
and that's great.
and I say this because I'm putting them on a pedestal, and not a pedestal in the sense that worship. A pedestal,
Like they better than you is more along the lines of this is where you are.
This is where they are, and I'll tell you why. Because women bring the next generation into this world. They have a bigger responsibility than men in that area. Yes, we are the spark, no doubt about it. But we can have as many sparks as we want. If we don't have that little brush hair to light the fire, the dirt to plant the seed, it ain't going nowhere. So it does not matter, right? And I think because women have that big hold on life and creating life, it's more of a responsibility on them, right? The discipline is more responsibility on us men to make it happen and make it and do it right. But the reality and the responsibility is on a woman, because we can't do nothing. We don't even have a legacy without a woman. We have technically human beings have nothing without each other if you really look at it, right? And I don't know about you. I don't want to die alone, even though I got brothers, right? I still don't want to be alone.
You still want a legacy.
I still want a legacy. And how do you get that legacy? The responsibility of a woman. And I know they say, well, that's a double standard or whatever they're going to call it. That's fine. But if I was a woman, I would put myself above a man in that area. We are not equals. We have different roles, but we're not equals. But at the end of the day, that's a hell of a lot of power to have, that you can actually go out and create a life. And you can determine what's going to happen to that life. Because no matter what I say, it's your body, your choice. You do what you want. And I think and men forget that. Men forget that, I think. That's how I look at it. Right?
I agree with you. But I'm going to speak as far as today in our society right now goes. Yes, women bear a very, very huge responsibility as far as their womb. However, we bear the greater responsibility of where we plant our seeds.
But again, that's the discipline on our part.
Right. That's why I agree with you when you said we're different and we're not equal. We're different. We're complementary.
Yes.
She cannot create anything. Without my seed, her garden lies dormant.
No, that's where you're wrong, because she can get it elsewhere. Today, you know what social media?
No. What I'm saying is, wait.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, yes, she can get it elsewhere, but without the seed itself, she can't do anything.
But she can get that seed elsewhere, is what I'm saying. She don't need you.
Not me specifically, but she still needs a seed.
Right.
That's where I am at. I'm at bare bones nature level.
We talking about nature.
I'm looking at it like this, Chris. I'm looking at it as like she can get it. There's no hard access for her to get it.
Even
the ugly ones can get it.
Right. Which leads me further to my point. We have to be careful with our seeds because, like you said, she can get it elsewhere. But if we're responsible with our seeds and we're not planting them everywhere, where can she get it? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's where I'm at.
But that would be a good responsible man then, right?
Right. And that's what we need to that's what we need to start building. We need to start building more responsible men who understand that carrying the spark of life is a great responsibility. Just like women need to understand that carrying their womb and understanding that their garden is the most important place on the planet is a huge responsibility too. We're different. We're not equal. We're complementary. Like Vic said, yes, she can get it elsewhere, but if we're not giving it, where can she get it?
But I look at it like this. Let's say, see, today relationships are hard because your wife doesn't need you to tell her she's pretty, right? Because she can go on the internet, put up a picture, and she get thousands of men telling her you're pretty. So your opinion really doesn't matter right now. It really doesn't matter. Honey, you don't think I'm pretty? That's okay. Look at this. Ka-cling! And there's the proof. I am gorgeous in some men's eyes. So you better put yourself in check, right? She can say that, right? And let's be real. Women don't need men in that area anymore, right? That's why I believe a lot of them are fat, because there's a lot of them out there, a lot of men out there that could say, you looking thin to me, you just thick. I'll hit it. I'll smash it. So they don't need to have any discipline to keep themselves in check, right? You know that whole carrying you over the threshold? That shit's gone, because you got to be able to carry 300 pounds today. Yeah, right. You got to be able to carry some serious shit.
Let me go to the comments.
There's always some comments out there. There's always some idiot out there to tell them they look good, right? So there's no discipline. There's no accountability because they don't need it as much.
They call it fat shaming.
They don't need it as much. Fat shaming. What is fat shaming? Let's be real. You know that whole Lizzo effect. What is fat shaming? You're just fat. There's no shaming. You're just fat.
Antoine, I agree with you as far as
there's no fat shaming. Really,
I agree with you. I would agree with you as far as, like, I wouldn't say they don't need discipline. I would say they don't need validation, because that's really what they're getting when they're getting those likes. They're getting a bunch of validation from a bunch of dudes. You understand what I'm saying?
Chris, there was no discipline for them to get up to that side.
I gotta go with Chris.
I would say that's more validation than discipline.
Because see, this is the thing, right? If it was a conversation about discipline, and you don't have conversations about discipline when it's about vanity. See, vanity is like how it looks on the outside, and so what Antoine is pointing out about getting that validation is what Chris is pointing out. That's the validation part. It'll be different if they were working out and women were competing with each other, like for better results from the gym or something like that. And
they're not doing it for us anymore.
Well, I understand that. And okay. So I'm looking at it completely on the surface level based on what you guys are discussing. You know what I'm saying? Because I am of the opinion, going back to where you started before, where you think women have to be held to a different level of esteem. I think it's more important that men are more accountable for themselves sexually, because men and women don't get graded the same when it comes down to who gets held accountable for anything. So men have to hold themselves in a higher regard, period, because the consequences for making the wrong choice in the wrong woman is a lot different than a woman making the wrong choice in a man. You know what I'm saying? So like when we think about like look at Jonathan Majors, like look at how many other entertainers that have had their names and reputations just destroyed because they made the wrong move with the wrong woman. You see what I'm saying?
You saw it on the last live stream with the dude who was in jail for 5 years for a kid that didn't belong to them because the mom thought that he was the kid.
Oh, funny you bring that up.
You understand what I'm saying?
Well, first of all, even though she's a woman, I still believe in DNA. I don't care.
So like that is a great point that you bring up, because
but I still believe in taking a DNA test on, even if it's your kid. I still believe in that.
They're trying to pass a law. They're trying to pass a law to make that.
I mean, honey, I love you. You're my woman and all. Just to be on the safe side, let's just get that little thing.
But the thing is, though, they're trying to work around spousal privilege, because they're automatically saying that if you married, then by law, if you married to the woman, then the courts are going to say that the child belongs to you. That's me working in the system and seeing it firsthand. The courts can deem you a father even though you might not be. You could request one, but the DNA testing. But they're saying that they're trying to pass DNA testing for unwed couples.
So I want to play two videos, right? And I'm going to first play the video that goes to the point of why men need to protect themselves more and hold themselves in higher regard sexually, because the risk is to your freedom at a minimum.
And then I went to prison for 5 years. When I got out of prison in 2003, I paid child support from that day until just February of last year when I lost my job.
Only because they garnished your wages.
Absolutely, that's what they do. And I actually asked my public defender, where's the proof? I've yet to see proof that the child's mine.
Mr. Manser, you are not
Oh, God.
his father.
Oh, man. 5 years in prison. Dylan, I'm sorry, bro. This is why. This is why I did what I did.
But this is nothing I made up. The lab did
You
it.
made it all up.
No, I did not.
Well, those results
I
apparently
don't know
are made
any
up.
of those people on that form.
Oh, my God.
This is clearly the most shocking
Very much.
news we've ever gotten in this courtroom.
Oh, my God. She should be convicted of some crime.
No, I should not. I did
That
not.
is fraud.
Mr. Miss Sear, do you know?
Yes, ma'am.
You know who his father is.
Yes, I talk to him still.
You cannot stand there and really suggest that you cannot comprehend why this man would not have any type of ill feeling, frustration, or regret as it relates to anything involving you. 5 years in prison. And then I say, do you know who your son's father is? And you say, yes, I'm still in touch with him. That is a really huge pill to swallow.
And then I went to prison for...
See what I'm saying?
That's why. That's exactly why men have to hold themselves in higher regard. Because
and I used to see this every day at work. I'm
like,
telling you, Antoine.
It doesn't matter.
From. Yeah, I understand where you're coming from when you talk about the discipline on the men's side and how women are held in a different regard than men. But on the flip side of that, when the courts can deem you a father, even though you're not one, and hold you accountable, even though you're not a father, man, listen, men need to start being more careful. And it's because of a law thing. It ain't got nothing to do with it. It does have something to do with the women, but it has more along the lines of your freedom and your resources being on the line for being in the wrong situation with the wrong woman.
In the wrong
You understand what I'm saying?
In the wrong
box. So yes, to your point, women need to be more disciplined, but on the flip side of that, from a legal and resource standpoint, men need to be more disciplined.
No, listen, I agree with you on that. But I'm just saying, as a woman, I would make sure. I just believe they have more responsibility on what they do with their bodies than
they do, because they carry the child.
They should, but this is the difference. Men and women do not have the same level of accountability for the same reasons. And the thing is, the implications are much different. When a man loses his boundaries for accountability, he end up in a situation just like the video we just saw.
Right.
When women lose their boundaries for accountability, they end up with a bunch of kids by the wrong people. You know what I'm saying? And even if they get the chance to go manipulate the court system out of grief, out of spite, they never pay a cost. Men lose their freedom behind being with the wrong woman. And then and then the cost of it all falls still on the children, because you saw the son up there. He had a whole, like, what is his trauma in that situation? You know what I'm saying? He's standing there next to the woman that's his mother, that's, you know what I'm saying, done something very, very insidious.
Let's call it what it is. Yeah. She lied to him.
She lied. Like
she lied to him.
This is a whole nother level of lying.
He's
right
looking
here.
at a dude.
She just messed up that kid's head.
That's what I'm saying.
He's looking at a dude across the way like, this is my dad, and then a piece of paper says he's not. After my mom told me that he
Where
was.
is his identity?
You understand what I'm saying? Now
he grew up without knowing his father.
Yeah, now I got to go digging in the crates to find out who my real father is, because I can't trust this woman that brought me into this world, even though she's my mom. And the dude that's sitting across the way, the courts just read out a piece of paper that says he's not my dad. So legally, he don't have to do nothing if he don't want to.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
And the callousness of saying, I still talk to him to this day is.
You see what I'm saying? And that's why, like, you can't expect the same kind of accountability from a woman when you're a man, because see, you're thinking ideally how they should account for your feelings, but they don't think about us the way that we think about them. And here's the crazy part.
And here's the crazy part. And here's why I said that we as men need to be more responsible as far as where we go. There's nothing he can do to get those 5 years back. And there's nothing he can do to get that money back that he paid in child support. There's no legal precedent that allows a man back pay for child support that he already paid. The most the courts can do is stop the payments.
That's sad,
it. That's why I said that it's on. That's why I said that we bear the bigger burden as far as the legal standpoint.
Yeah.
Of it. The women bear the bigger burden as far as the physical carrying of the child and the child ripping their body apart part of it. But I'm risking my freedom and my resources and my livelihood with this woman, even though this child isn't mine, and the courts are not going to give me back my time and my money because she lied. You understand what I'm saying? That's why I said that. That's why I said that is. Yeah, that's why I said it's more on us from that standpoint of it. I get what you're saying as far as the physical, because when a woman has a child, she goes through a lot.
Because he's speaking from the nuclear. I understand, because
what I'm
everyone's
saying?
speaking from a nuclear family.
Yeah.
So, but the reality is that, like, the nuclear family, and maybe we need to do a podcast about this in the future too. I think it's
one on that.
I think it's almost a dated concept, because that's why it doesn't apply to a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? Like, we try to make decisions out of that space, but the environment doesn't match up with the decision making. You know what I'm saying? So are we thinking antiquated? You know what I'm saying about the nuclear family? I think it's worth the discussion too. But I'm gonna play one more video, and I know I want to keep you guys too long. It's been a great conversation already. But
my apologies again for.
That's all good. But what we want to focus on.
We understand it's early, and you had alcohol trauma.
Yeah, and I'm not a drinker. That's it. It was a game. It was a football. It was revving up. It was shit. Man.
Yeah. I want to play this last video. I want to hit a couple of the comments, and then we're gonna let you guys get up out of here, because I want to show the end state of what it looks like when men don't hold themselves to the level of sexual discipline that's necessary to avoid these traumatic impacts to families and to the children.
How many women?
16.
Terrence?
4.
4.
Children.
With?
2 different women.
Yeah. Ryan?
Almost 5 children with 4.
Almost 5?
Yes,
now talk to me about an almost 5.
I have another baby due November 22nd.
So 4 children.
4 children.
How many mothers?
4 different women.
4 different women.
Yes.
And you got a baby on the way. Okay. And John?
6 baby mothers, 11 children.
11 children. And Jumani?
I have 6 children with 4 different women.
4 different women.
Yes, ma'am.
Now here's what I want us to get. That these men collectively have 87 children. That includes Jay.
Wow.
With 50 different women. That is 137 people who are impacted by choices and decisions that you've made. No heat, no judgment. I've got some stats for you. Children who come from fatherless homes. And I say fatherless because 6 men, 87 kids, even if you're there, there are pieces that are going to be missing. Would that be accurate?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you're not doing the best you can. I'm not saying that you don't want to be there. But at this point now, we have to look at the children's experience. Children from fatherless homes in this country, 5 times more likely to commit suicide than children who have a father in the home. 32 times more likely to run away. 20 times more likely to have a behavioral disorder. 14 times more likely to become sexually aggressive or commit rape. 10 times more likely to engage in drug abuse. It just breaks my heart. No heat, no judgment. You, to me, are the voice and the demonstration that's going to create a healing in this world. We have got to do better.
I'm putting judgment. Idiots. I'm judging. You're an idiot. And the girls that sleep with these men knowingly they have other men, you're just a hoe. Yeah, you're just a hoe. You're just a hoe. Yeah. Oh no, I'm putting judgment. I'm saying it. You're just a hoe.
Hey, look, I know you gonna judge Antoine.
Oh yeah, I'm judging. Oh yeah. You spread it for that? You're an idiot and you're a hoe. Yeah.
what I wanted to touch on was the impact of a lack of sexual discipline. You know what I'm saying, amongst men. Like just like the guy earlier when we played the 7 for 7 video, right? Yeah, you can say, why do women still want to sleep with these men, right? But that's what they're gonna do. You can't have it both ways though. You know what I'm saying? You can't say, well, if she gonna sleep with me, I'm gonna do it. I mean, you can, but you can't complain about women.
Come on, man.
Now let me finish. Hold up. But you can't, as a man, you can't complain about the women anymore if you out there if you behave in this way.
Yeah,
you see
if you
what I'm
shooting
saying?
every club up that you pull in.
Yeah,
come on.
ahead,
Okay. But let's be real, guys. Generationally, men have always had concubines. Men have always been. That's in our DNA. That's in our. It's like a dog. You give a dog a long leash, it's gonna piss and shit everywhere. You give a dog a short leash, it's gonna piss and shit right next to you. We are dogs. Women are like cats, temperamental. Don't stroke them the right way, you get scratched. I mean, you're acting like you're trying to change DNA. You could be more disciplined with DNA. But generally speaking, man,
that's the point.
Generally speaking, you can't blame these men for doing what men do. I'm not taking any responsibility off of them. But man, if you're spreading it for a guy that you know has 4 other kids, what does that say about you as a woman? And that's the pedestal I put you on. I'm taking you down now because obviously
But, you got that shit right.
Yeah, I mean, but come on, man.
But this is why I say,
if I carry the baby and I have that responsibility to know this man has 4 other kids. I ain't stupid. Do I really want to be his 5th baby mama? Oh yeah, I'm signing up for that. Because every man after that is gonna be like, no, I ain't want you. If you're stupid enough to do with that, that's why I said, Vic, the man has to be dead.
Going back to it again, hey, all I'm saying is that if you're looking at it from the nuclear family perspective, you're going to put more obligation on the woman to protect her body. That I get exactly what you're saying. I'm looking at it from like the legal aspect, quality of life that it takes to just be a functioning human being. And men have way different experiences in America with their freedom being compromised and their lives being on the line and their wallet being on the line differently than women. Because ultimately it affects your ability to provide. You know what I'm saying? And that's part of your nature too, which is what all of this stuff amounts to. Are you being limited in the best version of you showing up simply because you don't know where to bust your nuts at? And that's kind of crazy to think about. When it come down to it, a lot of people had the problems they got in their life because of who they chose to lay down with. When you look at the best and the worst of your life, think about the woman that you had at the time. You know what I'm saying? And that goes into the whole space of who are you creating your realities with?
Yeah, but I don't understand how men don't ask themselves, do you really want to be stuck with that?
Because most of these men that move this way are raised by women. And that's why, like...
And history repeats itself.
Yeah.
Christmas.
Yeah.
And speaking as a man who was raised by a woman, this, like I said earlier, this could have been...
It could have been him. And I think that's why I wanted to do at least 2 episodes on this particular topic, because the first one we kind of like glazed over it. I just wanted to show you the tree, but I wanted to really, really focus in on like what's the man's role in his own outcome, because you can't get in a relationship or pursue women and then expect them to have more accountability than the man that's supposed to be leading the relationship. You can't have it both ways. So, yeah, we can blame women all we want to, right? You know what I'm saying? But ultimately, this platform is dedicated to correcting, you know what I'm saying, the narrative about men and being disciplined, right? And I'm showing that there's a group of men that think this way and a group of men that doesn't think that way. So women can see that there's a difference if they want to. If you don't like this version, or if you don't like that version, at least you got something to compare it to versus just going through the world thinking every man that you bump into got kids with a whole bunch of different women, and it's not true.
There are men out here with standards.
Yep.
There's a lot of men out here with standards. Like I said, I don't know. That's why I said as a woman, even if I was a woman, I wouldn't get with a man with a kid. I mean, especially if you're a fresh one, I wouldn't get with a man with a kid. I wouldn't get with a
fresh one.
Like she's at,
like
that's
like
when you
she's
know
at
it's
a
time
deli or a farmer's market.
It's
Let me
true.
get this fresh bundle of bananas right here.
Yeah, you don't tell me you don't feel up the tomatoes and make sure which is the hard one. Come on now.
I do.
Okay.
That's why I can understand the metaphor.
Hey, you
That's
go
why I can
for
understand
a
the
little bit
metaphor.
of a greener banana so it can ripen your house nicely.
But
Oh,
see,
okay.
But see, Antoine, that's why I can take what you say and taking the meat and spit out the bones. Pause.
Yeah.
I can
You
understand
want a
what you're
fresh one?
saying.
You don't want somebody else's mistake. You don't want
And
that
I
for your
can
life.
and I can also understand why you put more onus on the woman, because you saw that. You
Hey,
saw a man and a woman working together, and you saw that woman understand that her womb was pretty much the most important thing on her body.
Most important thing,
You understand what I'm
man.
saying? But being that I was raised by a single mother, around single mothers, and I worked in the family court system, I saw different. You understand what I'm saying? So I bring the other side of it. I can understand how you probably don't even understand it or can't even fathom how a man could even think like this. But I can look at it from your aspect of it and say, damn, I ain't never see two people work together to build something bigger than them. And a woman understand that her softest place on earth is the most important place on earth. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, because till death do you part is a real. I take that very seriously.
Yeah,
very seriously, man.
And this also brings me to the point to where you, me, Vic, we want relationships and marriage and legacy. We not out here busting down everything that we see. We actually have a little bit of discernment, a few standards, and a little bit of discipline out here. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. And I really wanted to understand, like, I would say this message for women, man, and I'm going to say it straight. If you have a baby for another man, you better do everything you can to make sure that kid has everything. But you have to know, you have to do everything you can for the next man that comes into your life. You have no options.
Shit.
You have to be the best woman. You have to be the best version of yourself if you want another man in today's world to come in and pick up that slack. You have to be so on his page. And if you don't want to be, that's fine. If you don't want to be, that's fine, but you ain't gonna make it. You ain't gonna make it. You're gonna make more mistakes. You won't have no discipline. And you're not gonna make it as a woman. I don't care what you say. You better be on that. If you're a baby mama, you better make sure you are on that next man's page, because you are not doing it by yourself. You're not. I don't care what you say. You're not. You just dropped down so low on the totem pole, you have no idea what it's like to crawl up. But you're gonna know. You're gonna know.
On that note, this has been a great show. I appreciate you gentlemen for, making it to the panel again, And
I was late.
It's all good. Hey, no, you came on when you were supposed to. And we had the show the way it was supposed to be had, because the talking points that Chris, was speaking on, it needed to be spoken the way that it was, delivered. And when you come in and you bring your reality check from your point of view, it balances everything out, man. So, man, I appreciate y'all, man. And to all the people that tuned in from Germany, Dubai, and whoever else is in between, the people that's watching on YouTube, I really appreciate y'all for supporting the platform. And we'll be back on Wednesday. And hey, it's been Codetalk. Take it easy.
Make sure you subscribe on all platforms and hit the like button and follow. Please leave your feedback in the comments. Make sure you hit up the super chat, leave a donation to support the platform. Yo chick make you mad, my chick make me a sandwich. Yo chick make you mad, my chick make me a sandwich. Go cop the shirt, visit the merch store, shop with Accountable Masculinity, and support the platform. Men have hope.